choose to stay home rather than work and get back pay, which can create long waits for you at the airport. Holding China accountable is on the mind of your Senator Todd Young.
So he introduced yet another bill. I'm Donnie Burgess. This bill would set up a more thorough process for the Secretary of State and Congress to review any science and technology agreements between the United States and China, with national security and human rights being key areas of concern. The review process would have a 30-day time limit. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Anthony Richardson practiced fully for the second straight day on Thursday as the Indianapolis Colts prepare to take on the Los Angeles Rams this weekend. Richardson has been in concussion protocol since the Colts win against Houston. Traffic on the fives, Matt Baer.
Northbound 465 on the northwest side is cleared up. Pike Township is drivable again. Happy to tell you, northbound 65 crash is cleared 865. These lane restrictions start in Lawrence tonight at 9 p.m. and they go on until October 16th. And we're talking 24/7 lane restrictions on southbound 465, just the southbound side here from 71st down to Penn Pike, beginning tonight at 9 p.m. Be ready for Monday Morning Rush. Traffic sponsored by Allworth Financial, Uncompromised Wealth Management. Discover uncompromised wealth management that serves your best interests, not your advisors. Visit allworthfinancial.com to book a free appointment today. That's allworthfinancial.com. I'm Matt Baer with traffic on the fives. Follow us at WIBC Traffic.
My little brother's friends have been camped out at our place for 2 days straight. 3. It's because of the Xfinity 10G network. Internet that can handle a house full of screens at once, with basically no interruptions. And it's only getting faster. When I was their age, internet like this was a pipe dream.
You sound like my grandpa.
Please go home.
The next generation 10G network only from Xfinity. The future starts now. Now through November 15th, new customers can get 75 megabit internet on the next generation Xfinity 10G network for just $20 a month for 12 months with no annual contract. Go to Xfinity.com/10G, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply to internet service. Actual speeds vary.
The forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Dense fog advisory until 10 a.m. Thick fog this morning. Sunshine this afternoon, a high of 79. Mostly clear tonight. Fog developing after midnight, a low of 58. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey for 93 WIBC.
Still some fog out there. Otherwise, it's mostly cloudy. 63 on Monument Circle. I'm Kurt Darling. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
This hour on 93 WIBC, powered by Family Heating and Air, your American Standard air dealer in Indianapolis.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
It's an action-packed show today, Casey. Let's go!
And Casey Daniels.
The gang is all back together.
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It's Friday, September 29th. It's 7 minutes after 9. You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. So the news this morning is that Dianne Feinstein has passed away. The oldest member of the U.S. Senate, longest-serving senator from California. She was 90 years old. Her career spanned more than half a century. If you want to talk about term limits, there's a picture of her right there. So it's kind of sad, right? She worked all the way up until the moment she passed away. And work, I guess, is in air quotes, because the last year she was told what to do. Was she even aware of where she was and what she was doing? I mean, think about this. Just a couple months ago, she was told to vote yes, and she was completely incoherent of the vote. Like, she didn't even know where she was or what was going on.
Yeah, so you know the rule, Casey. When people pass away that are high-profile people, I apply the same rule to those people that I want applied to me. And that rule is, and we've talked about it many times on this show, I want people to say exactly about me in death as they did in life. And that is the expectation that I have, and that is what I apply to people when they pass away. Like, if you despised me in life, I don't want you when I die to go, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry Rob's gone. So we give, especially with high-profile politicians, we give, at least I do, a real thought about who they were, what they did, what they represented. And look, Dianne Feinstein was a victim essentially of elder abuse the final year-ish, probably even more than that, of her life. She had no business being in the public eye. She should not have been left alone, much less voting on things that affected 330 million people. And the people who did this to her, and there is a litany of reasons it was done. I think you need to look no further than the massive lawsuit her family is involved in over, her estate and the estate of her, husband. And those people should be ashamed of themselves because her final years played out in public in a very irresponsible and unfortunate manner for her.
Okay, so this is the person, she had a spy as a driver for 20 years, then pretended she was a victim, spent a good portion of her career auctioning off her power, right? She made millions of dollars by selling out many of her constituents. She was, I do want to give her just a bit of credit. She was a trailblazer for being a female politician. She was the first female mayor of San Francisco. What she did there, well, history will determine. But does this give credence to the concerns about Joe Biden's age?
Oh, it should, absolutely it should. But there's all, look at Fetterman, Mitch McConnell. I mean, how many times do we see this where these people die in the office, and it's not like, oh my gosh, nobody saw that coming. The person, like Jack Sandlin had a heart attack. He was a state senator and passed away, a week or so ago. Nobody saw that coming. He was, well, not a young man. He was in, by all accounts, good health, and he was high functioning and whatever. We are seeing these people who literally deteriorate right before our eyes, and that is sad. As a mother, as a wife, etc., that's sad to see that happen. But we have to take a different approach to this because these people are still making, whether it is Fetterman or Dianne Feinstein or McConnell or Grassley. Now, Grassley is 9 million years old, but he's still somewhat vibrant. These people get to tell us what to do. It's a different ball game when you get to lord over other people, and you have the right to be critical of those people, maybe the way you wouldn't of someone else, because they are making decisions still that affect your life.
Yeah. She was reprimanded many times for insider trading. Of course, we're talking about Dianne Feinstein, who passed away at the age of 90. Now, does this give the Democrats an opportunity to replace her with someone, well, I don't know, possibly more moderate?
Well, look, that's the big we would be lying and we would be being disingenuous to our audience if we just were like, now is not the time to talk. Clearly, like, people were gunning for her seat already. And this had been a conversation in California and Democrat politics for a very long time now, because many people knew this was probably sooner rather than later going to happen. And these potential candidates who were running for what would have been her open seat were gunning for the people to be appointed to that seat, because obviously it gives you a huge advantage that, hey, you're the incumbent. Now you can start raising money, the power of the incumbency to be able to actually pass legislation, et cetera. And so, yes, the decision Gavin Newsom makes, now it is my understanding that Newsom has kind of made clear that he's not going to appoint any of the people who are running for that seat. It's probably going to be a placeholder of some sort, some connected crony stooge, whatever. But he would, if he wanted to do that, have the power to kind of, or tip the balance of power in someone's favor, whether it's Shifty Schiff or Barbara Lee or, that other lunatic U.S. rep that's running out there. Doesn't matter. Anyway, it doesn't sound like that's probably going to happen.
But this does clear the path for them to be out there running.
Well, they already were anyway. I don't think
they have to tiptoe around it.
Well, I don't think they have to. I don't think that changes anything anyway. I mean, I think they were out there running. I think she had said she was not going to run. And look, here's the thing about, and this is what always gets me when a person who has been, so Dianne Feinstein had been there since 1992, and people in their obituaries put that out like a badge of honor. I do not, again, I'm sorry as a mother. I'm sorry as a wife. Those people are grieving and hurting. I'm sorry. But I don't put you on some sort of pedestal because you spent your entire life in politics, because she did a lot of harm to this country in her role as a politician. Don't forget, Dianne Feinstein was the mayor of San Francisco, who did one of the most dangerous and ridiculous things imaginable when she went out and had a press conference keeping law enforcement in the dark about all the information they had on the Night Stalker. There was specific things on this. Is very high profile now. There have been many, many documentaries made about this. And to a person, the law enforcement, when they interview her about her and this, they are beside themselves to this day about how she endangered the public at large because she wanted to hog the limelight and have the camera. So you can't brush over these things when this is what the person is known for. We have to talk about these things.
Got to take the good with the bad.
You absolutely do. And so that's why I always say, because I'm a public person, right? I mean, you know, I'm in the public. I'm on the radio. I'm not an elected official anymore. But that's why for the standard for me is say what you would have in life, say that about me in death. And we have been many times on the show, as we have seen her health failing, said this exact thing. I hate to see anyone suffer. I hate to see anyone a victim of elder abuse, which is what happened here. But it doesn't remove the fact that she had a voting record, that she was telling 330 million people what to do. She'd been doing it for 30 plus years. She was the mayor of San Francisco and did egregious things before that. We can't not talk about those things. And I have nothing left to say.
It's 15 after 9. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. And there's a new poll that did come out from News Nation. And you would expect it from News Nation to land this way. More Americans concerned about Joe Biden's cognitive health, more so than Donald Trump. And we're going to address that coming up from 93 WIBC.
This is Don Fisher. On Saturday afternoon, the Indiana Hoosiers take on the Maryland Terrapins. Pre-game coverage begins at 2:30 with the kickoff at 3:30 on the radio home of IU football, 93 WIBC.
The latest local news, commentary from Tony Katz, Kendall and Casey,
5.6%.
Hammer and Nigel, podcasts. Listen to the station live whenever, wherever, online at WIBC.com.
And how about a game-winning strategy to tackle those ugly summer stains in those carpets? More than that, your carpets are the largest air filter in your home and can hold 4 times their weight in dirt. Where do you think everybody sneezes, wipes their shoes, and drops food? That's right, your carpets. And the kids are headed back to the germ pools at school, and they need a safe space when they get back home. It really is a great time to clean the carpets, and it's quick and easy to schedule online. Nobody but Zero Res has the patented electrolyzed ZR water that cleans with no soap, no harsh chemicals, and no residue to attract more dirt. They can even clean your ductwork to help you breathe easier. Duct cleaning improves the air quality in your home as well as the efficiency of your HVAC equipment and reducing energy costs. Schedule online today at ZeroResIndy.com and mention WIBC. You'll get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at $139, and they'll give you a free hallway and $50 off air duct cleaning too. For a smarter, lasting clean and really easy scheduling, visit ZeroResIndy.com.
Now is the time to plant. Warm days and cool nights provide the ideal growing environment. Visit Damon's Garden Center West at 4914 Rockville Road for beautiful homegrown mums in assorted colors, quality trees and shrubs, and a wide variety of grass seed. The knowledgeable staff is ready to assist you. For any of your garden and landscaping needs, stop at Damon's West.
Damon's Lawn and Garden, Indiana's most complete garden center.
Mecum Auctions, the world's largest collector car auction company, returns to Indy for the fall special, October 5th to the 7th at the Indiana State Fairgrounds, featuring 1,000 muscle cars, Corvettes, customs, and more. Broadcast live on Motor Trend TV and Motor Trend Plus. From avid collectors to those new to the Mecum experience, we welcome everyone. Register to bid now at Mecum.com.
Rake in big savings at Koenig Equipment this fall. Buy a new John Deere compact tractor and get $1,000 off any in-stock Frontier attachment. Save on blades to level your driveway, rotary cutters to maintain fields, pallet forks to move materials, and much more. Turn to Koenig Equipment, your local John Deere authorities, for the tractor, attachments, parts, and service you need for any season. Stop by or visit KoenigEquipment.com today. Offer ends 10/31/23. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Emmer and Nigel here, inviting you to join us as we kick off the weekend every Friday around 5:45 with Beer Sample Friday, brought to you by our friends at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
Give family a call for your family maintenance plan, 317-577-8077. Maintenance is crucial.
Family Heating and Air is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
It's the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
You need to figure out what kind of a show you're going to be.
20 minutes after 9, it's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. So more Americans concerned about President Biden's cognitive health than they are Donald Trump's. And a new poll confirming this. This is from News Nation Decision Desk headquarters. It was released yesterday, and it found that more than half the voters, 52%, said that they were, quote, very concerned about Biden's health affecting his ability to serve another term. So he was in Tempe yesterday, and he delivered an address. And while he was there, he was also paying tribute to John McCain.
Look, there was a perception, and it was reality in the foundation of the country, that the best and brightest amongst us would lead our nation. And even if you had people who were advanced in age, like Benjamin Franklin, they were still incredibly sharp people. They were brilliant people. And they were still, while they were involved in the government, at or near the top of their game mentally, which was what was needed to run the republic. Mm-hmm. And when they decided they weren't anymore, because they were people of honor, they went home to do whatever they did before and live out their days as normal people would. We have now taken the best and brightest amongst us, and we have replaced them with complete morons. I mean, let's face it, Casey, am I wrong? Joe Biden is an idiot. Joe Biden was an idiot when he was 35 years old. He's a moron.
Well, it used to be viewed as a burden to serve and almost a sacrifice, but it was something that you did for love of country.
But am I wrong? Like Joe Biden, if you take a clip of Joe Biden from when he first got caught with plagiarism and whatever that was, 1988, he sounds like an idiot. There's 50 years of Joe Biden being a complete buffoon. It's not like you had this incredibly just high IQ individual who, boy, it's been just terrible to see him deteriorate. He was a corrupt, underhanded moron who has deteriorated, which is why it is so bad today, and he won't go away.
Well, you're saying what? He wasn't smart then, he's not smart now. It's just more obvious to a larger group of people because of the platform that he has as president.
And especially when you reach the age that Joe Biden is, you can have three people and they can all be markedly different in terms of how they speak, how they interact with others. Joe Biden should not be left alone, much less running the country. But it does piggyback off what we saw with Dianne Feinstein, where this is a person who the allegations were she could not use the bathroom on her own, and yet she was still serving in the United States Senate. That should not be happening. That job is too important. The presidency, a senator, a congressman, a governor, any of that stuff. When you control other people and the lives and outcomes of other people, and you can't even use the bathroom by yourself, that you have no business being, you aren't even in charge of yourself anymore.
Right. How can you be in charge of other people or important decisions?
And I'm not trying to be flippant or mean-spirited when I say that. if I get to that point, I shouldn't be in charge of anyone.
Mm-hmm.
My baby has to be looked after 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Why? Because she can't do the basic things of life. Now, while my baby could play better golf than the Americans are playing today at the Ryder Cup, I mean, I'm serious, Casey. I told her before I left today, I said, Olivia, I could put a little baby club in your hand and you would play better golf than we're seeing in Rome right now from the Americans.
It's not a great start, is it?
But the point is, you would not put her in charge of anything because she can't even take care of herself. And yet these people on the other end of things who can't take care of themselves get to make choices for us.
Yeah. This poll is not new. It's the third or fourth poll in a row. There was a Wall Street Journal poll that was just published earlier this month that said 73% of Americans, roughly 2/3 of Democrats, have said the phrase that Joe Biden is too old to run for president. Now, he was in Tempe. He was delivering that address. Apparently, the theme for his presidential campaign for a second term in office is called Preserving Democracy. He's being criticized also for, he's in Phoenix and now he's not going to the border.
Right.
I mean, he's right there.
He's been, Casey. He's already been.
He once.
He's been.
Of
in
course,
50 years, yes.
Yeah, that area making national headlines for being one of the busiest spots for illegal immigration crossing, but he's not going. But let's just give you some fun Friday examples of what your president sounds like. Here he is saying that D-Day was the anniversary that took place on January 6th.
I've made the defense and protection and preservation of American democracy the central issue of my presidency. From the speech I made at Gettysburg in the inaugural address to the anniversary of January 6th insurrection.
Can't get his dates right. Big event. A lot of court going on, and he can't get the date right. All right, we talk about how he's angry, Joe, sometimes. In the middle of a speech, he'll just get angry and start yelling and pounding on the podium.
Random angry Joe.
Did not disappoint in Tempe.
We in America believe anything's possible if we try it. Anything we do together, we can get done.
Okay, and here's more. It's like the dog surrounded by the burning house. Everything here is fine.
In Europe, the NATO meeting, I sat down. It was in January, after being elected. The late January, early February.
And Kylan, let's go ahead to the 7th clip here. He's trying to quote the Declaration of Independence. This is your president trying really hard.
And we are all created equal, endowed by in the image of God, endowed by our Creator to be able to treat it equally throughout our lives.
Nailed it.
And it's a daily thing.
I know.
It's not, oh my gosh, Biden just had a terrible day and, hey, maybe he's getting a little long in the tooth. It is a consistent daily thing where the president of the United States cannot form coherent sentences.
All right, dealer's choice. Do you want to talk about the impeachment inquiry that happened yesterday, or do you want to talk about Elon Musk's trip to the border?
Well, why not both?
Okay.
Don't threaten me with a good time, Casey.
It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-593-4411. 800-593-4411. 800-593-4411.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
24/7 ER care for kids. 24/7 peace of mind for you. Riley Children's Health emergency doctors and nurses are in the ER around the clock at IU Health North in Carmel. Learn more at rileychildrens.org/ER.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
A longtime senator has died. Dense fog still burning off. It is mostly cloudy and 65 downtown. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 9:30. Dianne Feinstein has died. The oldest member of the U.S. Senate and California's longest-serving senator died this morning at the age of 90. She had been in failing health for much of the past year. Feinstein was first elected to the Senate back in 1992. Feinstein's death coming as Congress is gripped with the growing possibility of a government shutdown. Fox's Jared Halpern reports on who will be impacted if lawmakers can't agree on spending.
Military troops, federal law enforcement, TSA agents, and air traffic controllers will all stay on the job if government funding expires Sunday, but they would miss paychecks if a shutdown extends beyond the middle of October. Most national parks will also close, the Department of the Interior says, reversing a policy of 5 years ago when the Trump administration allowed parks to stay open during a weeks-long shutdown. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
The UAW will announce in the next half hour or so if they plan to extend their strike even further. They're already striking at 30 different Big Three auto plants in 20 different states. And now the stock report on 93 WIBC. Big increases at the opening bell. The Dow was up 216 points to 33,882. The Nasdaq is up 134 to 13,333, and the S&P 500 is up 31 to 4,330. I'm Kurt Darling on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. So House Republicans held their first impeachment inquiry hearing into President Biden. Chairman James Comer conducted his remarks in the hearing. He outlined the next steps in the investigation, summarizing it was a marathon hearing. And the bottom line is that the committee has shown that the Bidens alone brought in over $15 million with their foreign influence peddling. Comer said that they've established in this first phase of the investigation where the money came from: Ukraine, Romania, Russia, Kazakhstan, and China, and it did not come from selling anything legitimate.
Well, how would Joe Biden and his family make money?
Well, Hunter's a big artist now.
I mean, it's like you look at this and you go, with any regular person, your friends, your family, you look at them and you see the lifestyle they live, and then you see what they do, and you say, okay, that makes sense most of the time. Now, sometimes it doesn't, and you say, ooh, that person is probably really living beyond their means. They're either house poor or car poor or whatever. And then there's some people you look at and you go, that person goes out into the driveway quite a bit, and strange people show up and they leave and they come back with piles of cash, right? I mean, the style you live, and you see this all the time where prosecutions, right, will catch people based on, there's no way this person should be driving this car, or there's no way this person should be able to go on those vacations, or there's no way this person should be living in that house. You look at Biden and his family and you say, other than Biden being an influential politician, what do they possibly have to offer people that would account for the amount of wealth they have acquired?
Well, the interesting thing is now that the Democrats are saying there's no evidence, and they're going back to that money that was wired to Hunter, to Joe Biden's address in Delaware, and they're saying, Hunter, he was living there like many people did with his parents during the pandemic.
Oh,
The dates don't add up, though, because this happened in 2019 before any pandemic shutdowns were going on.
I love that they present him as some like early
he's a
20s.
child, yes.
Like your daughter is a college senior.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were to say about Emily, you were to say, well, yeah, she was living at home during the pandemic. I would look at that and go, that makes perfect sense because, well, she's a college-age girl. Hunter Biden is
He was 49 when this happened. He's a grown man, and they are treating him like he was just this young person.
You know who Hunter Biden is? Have you ever seen the movie The Wedding Crashers?
Of course.
When they go to, yes,
Meatloaf.
he is the meatloaf guy. He is Will Ferrell in Ma the Meatloaf. That is Hunter Biden.
You're right. And you know what? He probably does sit around in robes like Will Ferrell did in that movie. Okay, so the hearing, it got a little crazy. Things were said. At one point, Marjorie Taylor Greene was trying to speak, and then Jamie Raskin was asking her, please don't show any pornography. And she was like, it's not me. These pictures are all over the internet. You've seen them. This is what Hunter was showing to people. And then AOC got involved. Let's take a listen.
But let's talk about...
Chairman, there's a parliamentary challenge before us.
The point of order.
Chairman, point of order.
Who's the point? And we'll stop the clock for you, Ms. Green.
Mr. Chairman, our colleague from Georgia has introduced before pornographic exhibits and displayed things that are really not suitable for children who might be watching. And
bathing suits not suitable, Mr. Raskin?
Well, I'm saying I would like the member to be instructed to not introduce any pornography today, at least without running it
A
to the chair
bathing
first.
suit is not pornography,
Well, we
Mr.
can't
Raskin.
see it from down there, so you didn't make it available to the minority before you started.
Seen it before. It's on the internet. It's everywhere.
You are submitting a naked woman's body.
This is a bathing suit. This is a bathing suit.
And it has not been cleared before this committee.
Glasses on. Do you wear them or not? It's a
I have
bathing
contacts in. Thank you.
Congratulations.
That's Marjorie Taylor Greene and AOC going back and forth.
So don't you love? So the president's son is under investigation. I mean, for a litany of reasons, but let's face it, let's dumb this down. The president's son is under investigation because he was the conduit between foreign agents and governments and his father, and he was the guy who was the middleman with which the money flowed through. Part of that investigation has revealed this guy lived this super rock star lavish lifestyle, and upon investigation, as many investigations do, it was revealed, hey, this guy who's super sketch on whether he was the middleman between his dad and foreign governments, that he may have been involved in human trafficking. This is what people need to realize. When you are talking about the Hunter Biden nudity stuff, it's not, look at that loser. It's, there is a real investigation going on right now as to whether Hunter Biden was involved in human trafficking. That is super serious, and that is not about joking around. And those videos, look, they're more upset that they might show the video than he did the video.
Right, exactly. And they're acting like they're so offended by it, too. Okay, so there was another moment. I don't know if we're going to get through the whole clip because it's a little long, but this is Democrat Jasmine Crockett. And she's trying to defend Joe Biden, saying that he's been proven guilty of loving his child unconditionally. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here. But one of the things that we have to mention, it needs bleeped. We cannot air her complete speech on this radio station without bleeping it, yet she is saying it in this oversight committee hearing.
I can't seem to find the crime, and honestly, no one has testified of what crime they believe the president of the United States has committed. But when we start talking about things that look like evidence, they want to act like they blind. They don't know what this is. These are our national secrets. Looks like in the to me. This looks like more evidence of our national secrets, say on a stage at Mar-a-Lago. When we're talking about somebody that's committed high crimes, it's at least indictments. Let's say 32 counts related to unauthorized retention of national security secrets.
Okay,
7 counts related to obstructing the...
This is an impeachment inquiry over the Bidens.
That's correct.
And now she's talking about Donald Trump.
That's correct.
So that's what we do.
Yeah, and by the way, kudos to Kylan on the bleeping.
On the bleeping.
And we're going to talk about this a little bit later, Casey. This is very similar to what I experienced last night, where I had the great misfortune of subjecting myself to a local government meeting.
Would you have needed bleeped?
No, but all the comments were about me.
Yeah.
People were getting up commenting about me, and I'm sitting in the back going, I'm not in the government. I mean, I know you're here because you're mad that I've exposed the bull crap that the government's doing, but it's like, I haven't been involved in 8 years. I'm just a citizen. And I appreciate that I'm that powerful that you union leadership man have to give up and give a speech about how terrible I am. But it's the same thing. It's like, speak to the thing in front of you.
No, this is redirect.
Speak to the thing in front of you, and they cannot and will not do it.
I'd like to continue on with her, but it's just going to get more frustrating. She just goes on and talks about all the things about Donald Trump and then makes a correlation into if they don't stop this impeachment inquiry, that the government is going to shut down. It's... Someone wants to go TikTok viral.
Again, Casey, I come back to there was a time in our society where the greatest and most brightest and most altruistic amongst us were the people who desired to go into public office, and now we have this.
Now this is the level we've come to. All right, it's 9:39. It's Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, what we learned from the impeachment inquiry day one and the death of Senator Dianne Feinstein. After the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
The reviews are in from McDonald's hotter, juicier burgers. Let's hear what Hamburglar has to say.
Bravo, bravo.
What our old friend Hamburglar said is, the patties are juicier. The bun is a thing of beauty. The cheese perfectly melted.
Bravo.
My burger dreams have come true. You heard him, folks. These are McDonald's best burgers ever. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Bravo. Available at most restaurants in this area. Comparison of McDonald's classic burgers to prior burgers.
So when you're in your garage, what are you doing? Are you grabbing some tools? Are you throwing the trash out? Maybe working on your car? What if the space was amazing? Galaxy Concrete Coating can help with that for indoor and outdoor concrete. They put down the coating. It's UV resistant. It won't yellow. It's not as hot as concrete. The color won't fade. Plus, the space will be more enjoyable while you're working out there. Call Galaxy Concrete Coating. Their number 317-751-9070. Or they're online, galaxyconcretecoatings.com. Again, that number 317-751-9070.
Georgia Street Tailgates, presented by Peterman Brothers. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. before the Colts-Rams game. Free entertainment on the Jack Daniels stage. Food and drinks for purchase brought to you in part by Jack Daniels, New Belgium Brewing, Hubler Automotive Group, and the Veterans Administration.
Good morning, 9:41. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. So as we mentioned as we started the show, Joe Biden was in Arizona yesterday, and he was giving an address paying tribute to John McCain. A lot of people criticizing him that he was not planning to leave the Phoenix area and head down to the U.S.-Mexico border. But everybody else seems to be taking a trip down there. Lots of senators, lots of reps, and of course, Elon Musk as well. And Senator Katie Britt, she's from Alabama, and she had just returned from visiting the border, and she had a lot to say. Make no mistake, the crisis down there is a direct result of the Biden administration.
At the border, because Joe Biden has made it more and more enticing to come here. Make no mistake, this is a result of failed policies. We could fix this. We can't throw money at this and fix it. We have to actually change the policies.
Yeah, but you know, Casey, we talked about this before. This makes me mad because she's being disingenuous. And what I mean by that is the Republicans have the ability to force Joe Biden to do whatever they want to do, whether it is actually, stopping the never-ending money funneling factory to Ukraine, or it's the border, or it's spending. I mean, they are a part of this equation, and it no longer is, well, we're just in the minority in everything. No, you have the House.
Right. You control the money.
And the Senate keeps essentially, I mean, they're not, because the House is more than willing to play ball, but they are making it harder for the House to pass meaningful reforms on any of these things because they keep rubber stamping all this spending. I hear this, and unless it comes from Rand Paul or Mike Lee or maybe there's a couple others, but not many. I call foul, because if you wanted to fix it, you could. You could shut down the federal spending. You could shut down the government. You have the power of the purse, and these Republicans never do a damn thing about it.
Well, I think that her point is that quit sending money to Ukraine and instead send that money down to our border. And I don't know if you noticed, but in this video, Marsha Blackburn was standing behind her, and I really got the impression that Marsha Blackburn is like looking at her as somebody who will take her spot if and when Marsha Blackburn decides to retire herself. It's almost like she's, mentoring her.
But great. I can't think of a worse person to be mentored by than a U.S. senator. Hey, you can be like me someday. If you stick around long enough and, do enough favors for people, you'll elevate yourself up the leadership ladder. Real quick, Casey, I did want to point out, I'm going to do what we call a little teaser here in this business.
Yeah.
Coming up next hour,
yeah.
Are you aware that Joe Hogsett listens to this program? Are you aware?
I am now.
He's very angry at us, and he told a local publication, and we'll tell you all about it next hour, how he was name calling us. He was saying very mean things about us. But the only way he would know to say those things is if he listens to the program, because he's naming specific things that we talk about, namely how he won't tell anyone where he is during the riots. And, Casey, instead of just telling people where he was during the riots,
just answer the question.
Yeah, he's not going to do that because, we all know where he was during the riots. He won't do that. It's easier just to name call us for having the audacity to ask, where were you during the riot? So coming up next hour, we're going to get all in it. We're going to do a deep dive on that very angry quote from old boss Hogsett about WIBC and this, all of the personalities here.
Okay, so Katie Britt from Alabama, not the only one who's been down to the border. Yesterday, Elon Musk went down there. He was in his cowboy hat and his aviators. So my question is this the new billionaire dopamine hit? Like, you recall the millionaires and the Titan and Bezos and his Blue Origin. You've got Elon Musk. He's live streaming. He puts out his stand on immigration. And is this what the billionaires are doing now? This is how they're getting their kicks?
Well, I saw two takes on this, and let's start with the first one. And the first one is, this is a guy who has spent $1 gajillion on Twitter. It's a financial dumpster fire for him right now. But if you're going to spend $1 gajillion on Twitter, and part of that is it makes you one of the probably 5 most famous people in the world because of the power of that platform, regardless of what it's actually doing financially, then you might as well utilize that in terms of as much earned media as you can possibly get. And if this is an issue you would like to talk about, then why wouldn't you go ahead and do that? And so I don't know. I think there's a big part of Elon Musk. Look, we've talked about this.
You think it's sincere?
Well, we talked about this before with Elon Musk. The guy is, when you are as rich as Bezos or Elon Musk, and I know Bezos started in his garage, whatever, it doesn't matter. When you become that rich, there's no way you can keep a semblance of what it's like to be a normal human being. Like your life is just, it's not, the things you have to worry about and deal with, it is just not, it doesn't register to the average human.
He's not going to the grocery store and looking at the price of eggs.
So I don't expect to say with Elon Musk, well, he's one of us. He understands our problems. No, he really doesn't. And I also am not naive enough to say, Elon Musk, he really cares about me. No, he really doesn't. Elon Musk cares about power and making money. But I think there is a part of Elon Musk that is grateful for what this country has given him. I think there's part of Elon Musk that recognizes where the country's headed. And it's like, dude, I'm all in on this platform and I've taken a great financial hit.
So I'm going to use it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like just club sport for him at this point. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, here he is explaining his stand on immigration.
I am, as an immigrant to the United States, I'm extremely pro-immigrant. And I believe that we need a greatly expanded legal immigration system and that we should let anyone in the country who is hardworking and honest and will be a contributor to the United States, we should have expedited legal approval for anyone who sort of falls in that category. But then by the same token, we should also not be allowing people in the country if they're breaking the law. That doesn't make sense. The law is there for a reason. So, I think we want to but I think we want to do both things: smooth out legal immigration, and then stop sort of a flow of people that is of such magnitude that is actually leading to a collapse of social services.
Okay, so he said what I think the majority of Americans say, they will support immigration, but it has to be legal immigration.
Sure.
As he did.
Let's do a little question and answer here, Casey. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Because you are a reasonable person. You are the voice of reason on this program. And I don't think anybody would label you an extremist one way or the other. Okay, ready?
Mm-hmm.
Should we know who comes in and out of our country?
Yes.
Do we have an interest in ensuring that people are not coming into the country until we know who they are?
Clearly.
Do we have an interest in knowing that the people who come to this country will attempt to assimilate into our country?
Yes.
Do we have an interest in knowing that the people who are entering this country are not violent or intend to enact violence upon others?
Yeah.
Do we have an interest in knowing that the people who come to this country have or are capable of acquiring in a reasonable amount of time the skill sets to provide for themselves?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. What a dangerous immigration policy, right?
Let's go back to that.
I mean, look, there are people who do not believe in borders. It's all the people's land, whatever. Those people are insane. And that is, a country without a border is not a country. And so if we're going to say amongst reasonable people, and I do not, anything I just asked you right there, is that a radical right wing? No. It is not. You hate Hispanic people, or you're on some white power trip, or any of the above. You are saying we have a vested interest in this country of being a welcoming country, but ensuring that the people who come here are not violent, want to work, and can be educated and take care of themselves and will assimilate into and appreciate what it means to be an American. That is as mainstream a position as you can possibly have.
Yeah.
And yet on the left, that gets labeled as
radical,
as some sort of neo-Nazi like hate speech.
Okay, so he's traveling with Tony Gonzalez, who's a local congressman from Texas, and they lay out the numbers, 30,000 illegal border crossings in 3 days, and they're saying, hey, this isn't a talking point. It's a record-breaking reality that is turning not just the area in Texas, but every community in America into a border city. And here, Elon, with the help of Tony Gonzalez, lays out the staggering numbers.
So basically, we're seeing unprecedented, all-time highs, and increasing,
and spreading. Yeah. It's not in just one area. It's not just like it's just one city or one town, and not even one state anymore. It's not, we're talking about New York today, but Chicago, you're hearing it there. L.A., Denver. There's all these other places where it's just spreading, just continues to get bubbling up.
And just to quantify it, I think you said 2,000 a day or something, just in this location.
Just here.
So that's like over 700,000 a year.
Just in this one location,
Okay, just 700,000 sort of legal immigrants a year, just in this one location.
Just in this one location.
Okay.
El Paso, right now in El Paso.
That's higher than the population of Wyoming. FYI.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and that's just one location. What is the total number from all locations roughly?
In the millions. I mean, it's literally millions, and those are just the folks that we know have engaged. What about all the others?
That's just who was actually processed.
Yes, the gotaways are the ones that
Yeah, so meaning that like the actual number is much higher.
Much higher.
So while he's been down there, he's been talking about X and also Starlink, but trying to get an unfiltered look at the border. Like you said, this is half earned media. This is half curiosity.
Yeah.
This is half maybe sincerity.
And look, as somebody who is very
Those
good.
were thirds, by the way.
Well, look, as somebody who's very, very good, as I found out last night, at earned media, I'm not going to criticize some guy for, being on a promotion tour for himself, but he's actually talking about, whether he believes it or not, he's saying the things that are true.
Real numbers.
He's pointing out the things that are actually happening. And let's face it, the guy don't got to do nothing he don't want to do, which tells me that he has some interest in getting this issue under control.
Yeah. Okay, jet prices, the football game.
Yeah.
The Jets, their ticket prices are surging. Of course, reports that Taylor Swift is going to be at the game.
This is so stupid.
Okay, I'm not completely buying this relationship, and I heard somebody have a hot take on this, and I tend to agree. Okay, so Travis Kelce, he's tall, dark, and handsome, right? Taylor Swift, not your typical sex icon. She's not Marilyn Monroe. She's not Madonna. In fact, she's the one who wrote the lyrics. She's the cheer captain. I'm on the bleachers.
Whoa. She sleeps with all sorts of dudes, Casey. Look at all the men she's been with. What do you mean she's not Madonna? I bet that body count is in the
higher
realm
than
of
Madonna.
Well, no, I don't think it's probably higher than Madonna's, but I bet it's not something that. I mean, look at all the men she's been with. I mean, she's not. It appears. I mean, unless you think her and John Mayer were just, writing love notes back and forth, that she's not afraid to get a little down and dirty from time to time.
A lot of people are saying it's a real red flag when you see the girl trying to make inroads with the mom so quickly within the relationship and try and seem like the nice person. And maybe that's a bit of a stage.
Everybody knows Taylor Swift. And she showed who she was. It's on video. And then she's obviously made many public statements. She's a real nasty person at her core. She hates conservatives. She hates Republicans. So this nice guy, down home, good girl stuff. I mean, she's a total on-demand abortion advocate. I mean, she is lockstep with the Democrat Party. She's a nasty woman, Casey.
Okay, so we've been talking about this all week long. Somebody called in, and I wanted to play this voicemail, and they agreed with you, Rob, saying that they completely loved your take on Taylor Swift.
Hi, Rob and Katie. Cindy here. I'm calling because you just made an amazing, absolute comment, Rob, about Taylor Swift that it hits home with me absolutely 100%. This girl draws in crowds, and people spend $400, $500, $600, $800 to go see a gal that absolutely is the worst example of what a young lady should be. And you betcha, she has had quite a run with men, and also her body image is just disgusting. Just thank you for bringing that to the light. I hope more mothers wake up and say, this has got to stop trying to, you'd rather put food on your table, but no, they're buying tickets. I know people that absolutely could not afford to go to her concerts, but yet took that money and exploited it, showing their daughters this nasty performance. And I just felt like, oh my God, when are people going to wake up? I mean, it's so sad. There's nothing wholesome about it, and it just makes me sad to my stomach to think that there are people that honor her like this. Let's talk more about, let's go represent some Christian singers, some people that have a healthy choice about their lifestyle, and let's go that way. Let's start talking about those type of people, promoting those people, not Taylor Swift. Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
She's agreeing with you,
Well, that's
Rob.
what I do, Casey.
Yeah.
I speak for the people.
It is Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Coming up, Tony Kinnett is going to join us.
My little brother's friends have been camped out at our place for 2 days straight. 3. It's because of the Xfinity 10G network. Internet that can handle a house full of screens at once, with basically no interruptions. And it's only getting faster. When I was their age, internet like this was a pipe dream.
You sound like my grandpa.
Please go home.
The next generation 10G network only from Xfinity. The future starts now. Now through November 15th, new customers can get 75 megabit internet on the next generation Xfinity 10G network for just $20 a month for 12 months with no annual contract. Go to Xfinity.com/10G, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless bill and an auto-pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply to internet service. Actual speeds vary.
MVP's bonus days are back at Lowe's. Shop the largest selection of Klein tools and get 5 times the bonus points. Plus, right now, buy a DeWalt Power Stack battery kit and get a select DeWalt Bear tool free. up to a $249 value. Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. Valid 9/18 through 9/29. Subject to change. DeWalt offer valid through 10/11.
Garage Doors of Indianapolis is everything that's right about Central Indiana. They've been locally family-owned for 50 years, helping our local economy remain strong by employing 70 families. Garage Doors of Indianapolis is proud to do business right here in the great state of Indiana. They're a conservative-minded company that shares our values and stands by their products and services. You can call Garage Doors of Indianapolis today for service today. 875-4577, 875-4577, or visit doorstoday.com.
Mecum Auctions, the world's largest collector car auction company, returns to Indy for the fall special, October 5th to the 7th at the Indiana State Fairgrounds, featuring 1,000 muscle cars, Corvettes, customs, and more. Broadcast live on Motor Trend TV and Motor Trend Plus. From avid collectors to those new to the Mecum experience, we welcome everyone. Register to bid now at mecum.com.
What if the next time you painted your home was the last time you painted your home?
Our home has had Rhino Shield for 10 years.
Rhino Shield. Call 888-RHINO-41. Don't paint, don't vinyl. Go Rhino.
When you're high, you feel different. But if you feel different, you drive different. So don't drive high. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Coming up in 2 minutes, what will the union do, and will it impact workers here in Indiana? Plus, why 3 police officers are now on the sidelines down in Bedford, and this race is backed by popular demand at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I'm Kurt Darling. That and more coming up from the Peterman Brothers Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical Studios. After Fox News, you're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 10 o'clock.
This is a Fox News alert. A U.S. senator has died. I'm Dave Anthony. Dianne Feinstein, a Democrat from California.
History will judge us by our commitment to a just society governed by law.
First elected to the U.S. Senate in 1992, Feinstein went on to chair the Intelligence Committee, leading investigations on the use of CIA interrogation techniques. And until 2020, was the top Democrat on the Senate's Judiciary Committee during contentious Supreme Court confirmations. She is credited with getting a 10-year assault weapons ban approved in 1994. Before her time in Washington, Feinstein was elected to San Francisco's Board of Supervisors and served as the city's mayor for a decade.
That's Fox's Jared Halpern. Senator Feinstein was 90. Her health had deteriorated, but she did participate in a Senate vote just yesterday at a time when, as Fox's Chad Perkin reports, there's a government shutdown drama.
The Senate is probably going to be in session this weekend. They're trying to avoid a government shutdown. But on the Senate bill, they have the votes to clear a filibuster and pass the bill that's before the Senate right now. And so it's not like they need her vote necessarily. This is not, at least the way things are arranged right now, down to the razor's edge.
Now, there is that kind of drama in the House where some Republicans oppose any short-term funding to stave off a shutdown that would start Sunday. Congressman Scott Perry tells Fox they won't do anymore what's always been done.
A couple people in the House and the Senate make some huge deal, and you have to vote for all kinds of terrible things that bankrupt the country.
He wants a full budget and 12 bills with spending cuts Senate Democrats won't agree to. We're about to hear from the head of the Auto Workers Union. He might expand the 15-day-old strike.
We know what happened this time last week. He said there wasn't enough progress and announced strikes against Stellantis and GM, additional ones. None, though, against Ford. And it's believed, perhaps, that Ford is continuing to make progress.
Fox Business Network's Jeff Flock near picketers in Warren, Michigan. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
What will they do? It's mostly sunny and 64 downtown. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:02. The UAW strike may be expanding again. The union will decide here in just a little bit if they will do more to try and crack down on Detroit's big three automakers. Some picketers in other states have said that they are being run over by cars on streets outside of plants where they are on strike.
These members and allies are in our thoughts, and we condemn this violence that GM and Stellantis are enabling.
UAW President Shawn Fain, who is from Kokomo. The cops shot and killed a man in Bedford overnight. Damon Hubbard was said to be harassing a woman, and when she got the cops involved, they found him and started chasing him, and then he crashed his car into a cop car, and that's when troopers say things escalated, and the 3 officers chasing him shot him. You might hear a government shutdown and believe that it only affects people in Washington, but over 20,000 Hoosiers would be out of work if that happens.
I mean, I don't know if people realize, but you have federal workers that were out here getting food stamps, and they have a family.
Arnold Scott, National Vice President of the American Federation of Government Employees on Wish TV, he says this shutdown could push people to their financial breaking point. Wawa stores will create thousands of Hoosier jobs once they expand into the state. Ryan Hedrick explains.
The company announced that Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana will benefit from 60 new stores.
We think there's a real opportunity there. So Indiana, among the other 3 states, just we're excited because we think we can do well.
Wawa President Brian Schaller tells Inside Indiana Business that construction on the first store in central Indiana will start next year. Ryan Hedrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
The Brickyard 400 is back.
What we've heard, especially over the last year, fans really want to get back to the Oval at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
IMS President Doug Bowles, the race will be on July 21st, and it'll be the 30th anniversary of the race. I'm Kurt Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
This hour on 93 WIBC, powered by Family Heating and Air, your American Standard air dealer in Indianapolis.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
It's an action-packed show today, Casey. Let's go!
And Casey Daniels.
The gang is all back together.
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It's Friday, September 29th. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. And on the WIBC hotline, we have Tony Kinnett from the future Tony Kinnett cast. Tony did some traveling, ventured to Michigan, talked to some people at the UAW plants, and now we get to hear what he found out.
Good morning, and it's good to be back in Indiana.
All right, Kinnett, so you went to Michigan. You went to see the picketers. You went to see the people from the UAW. You did a big investigative piece. What is going on?
Basically, everyone on the union line, we're being told, is like this big Democrat supporter that loves Joe Biden and loves Democrat policies and thinks Bidenomics is just super duper. And no, that's not the case at all. I hear a lot of people saying I'm going to vote blue except for Donald Trump, which is something we heard a lot of in 2016. Also, a lot of UAW workers left the picket line to go see Donald Trump at a rally that evening, lining the streets. And his speech, and again, I'm often critical of Trump, so this isn't like just Trump fanboy kind of telling you just I love Trump because I love Trump. His speech was honestly really good. And if he spoke like he did last night on the campaign trail throughout the election, he has more than a fighting chance, in my opinion.
Okay, so do the workers believe, because there's a lot of people, and we hear from them, who are looking at, I want 40% pay raise, I want 4-day work week. There's a lot of people looking at that going, that's ridiculous. Do these people see how society is seeing them?
Yeah, and a lot of you people on the line that we've spoken to outside the Ford Assembly plant do not think that they're going to be getting 40% raises and 4-day work weeks. It's just not a thing. There's basically 2 opinions on that. Number one, they think, well, they're asking for more because we'll end up getting somewhere in the middle. And as we've seen, the automakers already suggested a 20% raise, which, hey, I mean, I would have taken, but the union leadership did not, which, by the way, upset people on the line because they're like, what are you doing? Why did you not take a 20% pay raise for all of us? That would have been awesome. And then number 2, you see a lot of people saying, I don't really know why union leadership is running around whining about Elon Musk and whining about 4-day work weeks. We just want a pension. And that's genuinely what I have heard from 99% of people on the line. There was this old white professor type style guy who I'm not even sure worked at Ford, who told me he was absolutely giddy that Biden had visited. But he's also the only person we talked to that didn't usually include some kind of a swear word before or after Biden's name.
Casey, go ahead.
Okay, you mentioned Elon Musk. Did you hear any rumblings about electric vehicles?
Like every other person I spoke to. I know this is shocking, but in the Rust Belt where we make gas-powered cars, people aren't thrilled at the idea of shutting down those gas-powered car factories. My dad worked at Dana. My grandmother worked at Dana. My grandfather worked in the manufacturing industry for a long time as an electrician. This manufacturing culture that our society is built on is never thrilled when you say, hey, we're going to replace all of this industry with green initiatives. I mean, we all see a lot of these businesses that end up going bankrupt because green initiatives suck. We see the battery manufacturing, which is worse for the environment than we're told that it is. And also, electric vehicles just in and of themselves are not yet as good as gas-powered vehicles. They just aren't. They're prone to overheating. They're not as reliable. And also, it's not good for the factory workers themselves. It takes a slightly different skill set. You don't just snap your fingers and convert an automotive factory to electric. That's not how that works. So these factory workers know they would be out of a job if Ford suddenly switches over to Biden's 2035 electric vehicle edict.
Tony Kennett, our guest, he has a new piece out at the Daily Signal. He went to Michigan to talk to the UAW workers about what in the world is going on there. All right, so this is the question I've asked about the teachers union, right? Like you hear from teachers. We hear from teachers all the time. You do too. Well, those guys don't speak for me. But they do, because people aren't speaking up against the leadership, so by default they speak for you. If people feel this way, why are they allowing the union leadership to continue to make bad deals with politicians they don't like?
Well, I'm going to try to maybe put this in a bit of a different perspective. Being in a manufacturing union is so completely different from being in a teachers union. It just is. Teachers unions have really no history in this country. They just kind of exist for people to whine. Manufacturing and labor unions have a history in this country. I mean, in the Midwest specifically, there were towns under martial law because of violence between unions and factories in the 50s and 60s. And being a part of a manufacturing union, especially like the UAW, is a part of life for a lot of these people. And there is an expectation that if you're going to be on the line at this factory, that you're going to be a part of the UAW. And that, regardless of politics, that is kind of a core expectation. There's also a core expectation that you're not going to run your mouth and be a scab. And the union, if they find you on a picket line, for example, there's a guy in a Fox News clip who's given Biden the side eye. Mm-hmm. And we have information that the union is already trying to find this man so that, like, he might be dealt with. And when I say dealt with, I mean Italian mob-style Chicago dealt with. I'm not joking around. I mean dead on the side of the road dealt with, because that's the union. That is. And anyone listening knows that a manufacturing union will take care of something like small-town Jason Aldean take care of something. And so that's why a lot of people don't speak out against manufacturing union leadership. You'll be dead. And I'm not joking.
Okay, you said regardless of politics, but this is a political talk show, so let's get into it. Can you compare and contrast the attitude difference or the reception between Joe Biden and Donald Trump?
Yeah, Donald Trump's like, hey, remember when I was in office and you guys had money and jobs and there were no strikes and I invited union leadership to the White House within a month of me being in office? And everyone, including the majority of the Democrats that we spoke to, were like, yes, I remember that fondly. He may have been an a-hole, one woman told me, but I had money in my pocket and food on the table. Biden gets out there and goes, well, you know, I had a Corvette that was made by a union, which, by the way, it wasn't. And I remembered the union line. I was raised by Puerto Rican rabbis in a black church, and they were all a part of the union. And everyone's like, I don't feel supported by that. Biden also went to this small, like much smaller plant further away than like the core Ford assembly plant where people were striking. That's where we went and did our reporting. And people just aren't impressed with Biden. Some think that he doesn't even know what he's doing, that he's being controlled like a puppet. The other people think that he just doesn't care about them and he's using them for a photo op. I think it's a mixture of the two. So Biden's policies, they also think did this to him. They know Biden's oil policies, energy policies, and not to mention his electric vehicle initiatives. That is some of what is to blame. And no, they don't like Biden because of it.
Okay, real quick, Casey, I wanted to make sure, because Tony's our guest, and I'm going to hit you with this too, Casey. I just got this morning. It turns out, Tony, Casey, Joe Hogsett is a big WIBC listener.
Hi, Joe.
Good for him.
Good morning.
This was in Adam Wren's Importantville publication. This is a quote for a piece that he was working on from the Hogsett campaign about Shreve now asking the question where Joe Hogsett was during the riots. Now, real quick, would you again like to remind everyone where your sources have told you Joe Hogsett was during the riots?
Yes, I have. I have sources that have confirmed to me that Joe Hogsett was outside of Indianapolis. And let's just say, it is possible that Joe Hogsett might have allegedly been in a rehab center. Let's pick a random city. Let's say Richmond, Indiana.
Okay.
Now, who knows why? Maybe he was just visiting like Monopoly. Maybe he was in there, but those are what people have told me.
Okay, so Casey, before I read you this quote, and let's see if you can point out what is not in this quote. Casey, ask me where I was last night.
Where were you last night, Rob?
Well, I went to the Brownsburg Town Council meeting. I think we're going to get into that later in the show. That was a rousing good time. Dealt with a bunch of union government employees over there. And then came home, watched the NFL football game, slept until 1:30, got up and watched the Ryder Cup until I came here with you.
Mm-hmm.
You see how that specific that was on where I was last night?
Love it.
All right, here is the quote from the Hogsett campaign. Tony, are you ready for this about Shreve calling him out on where he was during the riots? Are you ready?
I'm on my tiptoes with excitement.
All right, again, as reported by Adam Wren in Importantville. Quote, Mayor Hogsett understood that reasonable questions would be raised by the violence that swept major cities in 2020, which is why almost immediately after the events of that summer, he commissioned an independent investigation and report into the activities of city staff and our law enforcement partners. Much like Mayor Hogsett's numerous public appearances and press conferences from that weekend, the report is available to the public. We would suggest that both the Shreve campaign and the city as a whole would benefit from Jefferson listening less to right-wing radio shock jocks and more to concerns of regular families who are tired of Trump-style politics infiltrating local government. First of all, I love that Joe Hogsett is apparently listening to this radio program. But Tony, what stood out to you about that quote about Joe Hogsett and where he was during the riots?
Okay, Alex, I'll take what is I didn't mentioning where he was the night of the riot.
Thank you.
And you win the $1 million. We're going to keep you on the island.
I mean, isn't that just a giant red flag that the guy just still refuses to stay to Wish TV, to Indy Star, to Importantville, whoever it is? He will not tell you where he was during the riots.
No, and the obfuscation is really hilarious. He's like, don't listen to the crew. Like, this is literally like, don't look at the man behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz. It's so obviously transparent. And yet, honestly, at this point, I think he knows he's facing just a wax candidate with almost a spine. And he still can't get out of the fact that most of the people in Indianapolis care about what he says that no one cares about. And it's hilarious. When has he taken questions from common Indianapolis citizens? He hasn't.
All right. When does your show start? Do we know? I feel like I've been promoting this for 9 years now.
Well, see, if we promote it for 9 years, you're more likely to tune in. We're thinking probably right after a night at WIBC.
Okay. The Tony Kennett cast that airs sometime in the near future, evening 7 to 8 p.m. here on WIBC. Tony Kennett, you're the best. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
We feel.
Do you feel like we do?
Feel it as soon as you step out the door.
What you feel.
Bundle up. Feels like winter.
It's going to be more like summertime.
Do you feel like we do?
All the feels.
It feels a little like winter.
Feels more like summer.
Of fall.
It's kind of the clash of two seasons.
Weather, mornings, and afternoons.
The ebbs and flows this time of the year is so evident.
On your official fall weather station. 93 WIBC.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy, like when looking at a door frame. For others, blurry or missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces. Many have trouble seeing in low light, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you've been diagnosed with AMD, And notice vision changes? Don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA today. Learn more at GAWon'tWait.com. That's GAWon'tWait.com.
Hey, my wife and I are customers of Indie Decorative Concrete. They did an amazing job. I have an old house. The sidewalk and the porch was falling apart, and they transformed our sidewalk and porch into a custom-stamped concrete area with more space and an absolutely awesome, unique look. And I love that Indie Decorative Concrete is locally owned. They don't use subcontractors. You have to check out their website, indiedecorativeconcrete.com. That's indiedecorativeconcrete.com.
Sunday is just 2 days away, and this Sunday, maybe you're feeling called to something different, and it could be a new church home or even a first church home. If that's you, I can't recommend enough my amazing friends and family over at Life Church, because when you're at Life Church, that's what you feel like. You feel like family. They've had such an amazing impact on my life, on my wife's life, on my daughter's life, and this Sunday, they would love the opportunity to meet and welcome you and your family. Life Church has campuses all across Central Indiana, Noblesville, Fishers, Eagle Creek, Pendleton, and amazing online services. Learn more about it at lifechurchin.com.
Community Health Network MD Anderson Cancer Center gives you access to advanced therapy options like Phase 1 clinical trials. Your circle of support just got stronger. Learn more at ecommunity.com/cancer.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake kitchen and bath cabinets. Visit Drexel's new design center on 146th Street at River Road or on North Shadeland. DrexelIN.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
He's a mean guy.
And Casey Daniels.
She's the nicest person I've ever met.
On 93 WIBC.
It's 19 minutes after 10. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. How you doing today, Rob? You had a busy night last night.
It's been just a wild and wacky roller coaster of emotion. And, Casey, there's nothing more flattering than having been out of the government for 8 years. Mm-hmm. And you go to a government meeting and you're sitting in the back minding your own business, and there's a flood of people there, and they make it very clear they're there because of you.
Did you have a packed house?
Oh my goodness, Casey! In the 11 o'clock hour, we're going to get into this. It was like the movie. You ever seen the movie The Blues Brothers? Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness, Casey! It was like the movie The Blues Brothers at the very end when all the cops are in the theater getting them, and the guy, John Candy. Now wait a second! I've never even seen these guys play. Orange whip, orange whip, orange whip. Three orange whips. Except instead of police officers, it was firemen.
Oh, okay.
And some not very nice things were said about me last night.
Shocker.
Now, you have heard the audio in question. That was not very nice, right?
No.
And then the only problem with that is then I got proven exactly correct. You've heard the audio on that. Mm-hmm. And so coming up next hour, you know how we do it here, Casey.
We have the receipts.
Well, when you have an issue with the truth in the government, we make you famous with your own words because, well, clearly everyone listens to this show, which now, including Joe Hogsett. Mm-hmm. It's so wild, Casey, how we're told nobody listens to your show. And yet, the meeting last night at the town council was all about me and my show and my social media. And Joe Hogsett's talking about our show and our social media. And it's like, did you know we're controlling the Shreve campaign? Isn't that wild?
Well, you are a newsmaker, breaker, and shaker. Well, that is for sure.
It was funny. There are some people in the Shreve campaign, as I've said before, there's some of them that I really don't like and disagree with, and there are some of them that I actually like. And there was one of the ones that I like. We were joking about that, and I said, to accuse him of listening to us, we rip Shreve's ass on a daily basis over here. I wish he listened to us as much as Hogsett thought he did.
If he had listened to us,
yes.
We'll hear from Abdul on Monday what the polling says.
It would be a different ballgame for him.
I can't wait to hear what Abdul has to say about that.
So anyway, yes, coming up next hour, we saw another example of some really bad government, and people were being very mean to me. And then I came home and set that alarm for 1:30 and got up and
watched the beginning of the Ryder Cup.
It was really nice, Casey, and I didn't know that the Americans were going to do this. Instead of putting the professionals out there for the morning round, they put a bunch of 10 handicappers out there. And look, that may be not a wise strategy in terms of they lost all the matches, but the fact that they let a bunch of amateurs play the most important event in golf, that was really nice of them.
I would like to point out, this was probably a year ago when you told me your plan, hey, when these major matches are coming up, you're not going to get 100% from me.
That's correct.
And you said 4. And now you've added a 5th one.
Well, there was no Ryder Cup last year.
So every other year it's 5?
Yeah, 2 years. So the Ryder Cup is the big one because it's for your country. Now, it looks like, Casey, at least as of right now, they did let the professionals play for the Americans in the afternoon. So kind of a weird strategy to let 10 handicappers play in the morning. But, hey, it is what it is.
Okay, let's talk about the ratings from the Republican presidential primary debate on Wednesday. 9 million people watched. Now, the Fox network was still number 1 in their time slot, but that figure is down from nearly 13 million who watched the first Republican debate. So we know 25% less people watched, and it was a rerun, right?
Why would you? No.
It was the same group of people. We've seen that show.
Other than you, why would you watch?
And you did it, of course, for your baby who wanted to watch.
Olivia was very excited to watch the debate, according to my wife. Now, I pressed Olivia repeatedly, and she would not give me a straight answer, but I have no reason to believe my wife lied to me. Now, I will say, Casey, I think there was a moment at the beginning of the debate when they had the big intro and they're showing Reagan stuff, and there was a moment where they had Reagan and Margaret Thatcher together.
Yeah.
And I am
Did
certain.
she coo?
Well, I heard a coo and a twinkle in her eye because, of course, my baby her middle name is Thatcher for Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah.
So, but nobody cared, right? And this is what we predicted.
Yeah. Well, it did have twice as many viewers as America's Got Talent and also the season premiere of Survivor, which were on competing networks. However, in 2016, the GOP primary averaged 23 million viewers.
Well, and your specialty programming, because it costs so much to produce, I mean, that is a huge endeavor for the networks that put on these primary debates. You've got to deliver ratings with those because of the cost associated with making those debates. And it is clear if Trump is not there, people are just simply not interested.
Yeah, it's the Trump factor. So in 2016, we've gone from 23 million viewers to the first debate, which was 13 million, and then this one we had this week down 9. And you mentioned Trump. Somebody did call 317-684-8444 if you'd like to contribute, and had an idea of how they could do better and how to actually get Trump to the debate.
Idea for the Republican National Committee. If you want to get Donald Trump on the stage, all they have to do is just bar him from participating. He will demand that he participate, at which time they say, okay, fine, come on up. All I got, but to me, that sounds like the best solution to get Donald Duck up on the stage.
Tell him he can't be there, and then he'll show up. You're not telling me I can't do something.
Can we again point out, too, what a great job Kylan is doing?
I know, she's doing amazing.
Kevin is passed out in a ditch somewhere probably by this point.
Does that guy takes like every Friday off now, it seems.
Well, and I thought, is there some special event going on, Kev? Like, is there something with your band? He's like, no, my buddy's just coming in town at 9 in the morning.
What do you think they're doing? Some day drinking?
I can guess what they probably are doing or have done. But I just want to point out, Kylan always goes above and beyond, while Kev practically sometimes doesn't even remember to play the audio. Kylan not only plays the audio, she will count it down for us so we know when the audio is about to end.
Okay, I wanted to point out this story really quick. This is coming to us from Ojai, which is a Southern Californian city.
Oh.
And they have become the first in the nation to recognize the legal rights of non-human animals. So, animals.
What did you just say?
Yeah, they're recognizing the rights of non-human animals, which would be animals. The council found that elephants have been found to be quite similar to humans. They're cognitive, they're emotionally and socially complex, they're capable of suffering trauma, and elephants also can have brain damage if they're not allowed to roam freely and interact with other elephants.
So, we're now recognizing the rights of elephants, but a baby in the womb, no dice.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to point this out to you. Mark Scott, who is the city manager, he said, I'm glad that we're able to make this statement supporting the place of these noble creatures in our world.
Yeah.
So they're not doing anything other than creating a proclamation of how wonderful elephants are.
Yeah.
And if you live in the city of Ojai in Southern California, aren't you so excited that that's what your town council is spending their time doing?
Look, government is and we're going to get into this a lot more next hour, but government is a disaster at all levels. These local governments are run by some of the weakest, dumbest people alive. And look, I guess they just, but this is important because this is the feeding ground of which these people elevate up the feed chain. You have weak, dumb people who are have political aspirations, and when you're weak and dumb and you have political aspirations, you do whatever thing you think the interest group that you need in that moment is, and then you get stupid stuff like this.
Well, or it's this guy's personal pet project.
Right.
And he wanted to make it a big issue.
Yeah.
And using his government as a way to do it.
Of course he did.
Okay, speaking of elephants, Hammer at one point weighed as much as a baby elephant. He'll be coming up in a little while. It's Friday, so he's got to do a weigh-in.
That's correct.
And we'll see if he's making progress.
Our voicemail's next?
Yeah, we've got a few phone calls.
How exciting.
It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Mecum Auctions, the world's largest collector car auction company, returns to Indy for the fall special, October 5th to the 7th at the Indiana State Fairgrounds, featuring 1,000 muscle cars, Corvettes, customs, and more. Broadcast live on Motor Trend TV and Motor Trend Plus. From avid collectors to those new to the Mecum experience, we welcome everyone. Register to bid now at mecum.com.
A lot of schools talk about training the cybersecurity workforce of the future, but do they really deliver? My Computer Career has been supplying the IT workforce with thousands of skilled, certified pros for 15 years. Train with the experts in support, networking, or cybersecurity and start your career in months, not years. Upskill even faster. On campus or live online, qualified students may get financial aid, including the GI Bill. My Computer Career. Accredited, acclaimed, effective. Take the free career evaluation at mycomputercareer.edu.
Big news from my friends at AAA. AAA's newest approved service partner, Jiffy Lube of Indiana, offers AAA members $25 off a Jiffy Lube signature service oil change every Thursday on AAA Day. Just show your AAA card and save.
And don't forget AAA's legendary roadside service. Flat tire, dead battery, run out of gas, lock your keys in the car. AAA is there 24/7, 365. To get your AAA membership, visit AAA.com or call 844-GO AAA GO or stop by any local AAA office.
What is 988? It's a way forward. It's a listening ear. It's whatever help you need when you need it. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline offers trained crisis specialists ready to talk to you 24/7. If you or someone you love is experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis in their life, call or text 988. Want more information? Visit 988indiana.org.
Any heating and air conditioning problem you've got, we can take care of you. 317-577-8077.
Family Heating and Air is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Emma and Nigel here, inviting you to join us as we kick off the weekend every Friday around 5:45 with Beer Sample Friday, brought to you by our friends at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
32 years. It's sunny and 64 downtown. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:30. That's how long Senator Dianne Feinstein served in the U.S. Senate from California. She died this morning.
Senator Feinstein voted yesterday morning in the Senate, but did not attend a Democratic caucus meeting later in the day, and she also did not vote in an afternoon vote series. She was 90 years old.
Fox's Chad Pergram. Feinstein was 90 years old. The House is expected to take up a Republican stopgap funding bill today, but House Speaker Kevin McCarthy doesn't appear to have the votes to pass it, leaving Congress on track to trigger a government shutdown at midnight Saturday. The bill McCarthy is ready to put before the House will likely run into trouble with hardline conservatives who have bitterly protested in the prospect of a short-term funding extension. Still no announcement from the UAW right now. They are announcing whether or not they will extend their strike. I'm Kurt Darling on The Level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. It's time to hear from you. Kendall and Casey present Voicemails. Brought to you by QC Kinetics for non-surgical regenerative medicine treatments at 317-559-PAIN.
I'm so sorry you have just reached my answering machine.
The phone number, if you'd like to contribute, 317-684-8444. It is 10:33 with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. So, Rob, we began the week with you talking about an issue that you have had with your insurance company.
Yes, where we laid this out for those of you who missed the show earlier this week. My insurance agent essentially went AWOL. I was able to get him on the phone, I think, one time, and then the other times it was a bunch of blow-offs, and the conversation I had with him was this, just bizarre, non-straight answer thing. And so finally, my insurance was coming due, so I, in a panic, canceled the policy and found a competent person, and he saved me like $1,500. And he said, I've had multiple people from this guy come to my agency expressing the same type of bizarre behavior that you are expressing. Turns out the guy got arrested, appears multiple times based on the state website, a variety of things. Many, many people have now written me about this guy and the expanding on the bizarre behavior not available on the state's website related to his arrest. And so the insurance company, homeowners insurance, was great. They said, hey, basically, sorry you had gone through that. Here's your money back that we owe you. Thanks. And we hope maybe in the future you'll have a better experience with us. Great. Yeah. Wonderful. The car insurance people, though.
Different story.
Billed me for an early cancellation. And the money that they owed me, when factored in with the early cancellation policy, they said I owed them $12. And I called them and I told them, you can do whatever you want to do to me. I am never giving you this $12, and I will be more than happy to go to court and stand in front of a judge and explain what your guy is and how he's operating. And now on top of that, since that conversation, he got arrested multiple times, according to the state website. And last thing they'd said to me was something like, hey, we're going to assign a case manager to this or, whatever. And then all of a sudden, so I'm thinking, okay, they're going to come to their senses and realize, hey, this dude's been arrested, et cetera. We can't be, holding people accountable for leaving. I get a bill for $12 from a collections company. And so we're discussing, what should I do here? Because I'm going to get, I already have gotten, but I'm going to continue to get way more than $12 worth of fun out of this. And at some point here, I'm going to name the insurance company, and I may name the guy too, because really just egregious behavior. But we could take it to court. I would love to tell a judge everything that I went through. We could make it like WIBC Day at the courtroom, where it's like Animal House, where we all have all the WIBC listeners show up, and maybe we go to lunch afterwards. I'm trying to figure out, exactly how do I want to handle this, because you got 30 days to respond to their letter. And so I've been kind of working through what my approach is going to be.
Will you put it out to all of our WIBC listeners to weigh in on this? What you should do? Should you just pay the $12 and put it behind you and move on? Or do we drag this out and see what can come of this whole $12?
Well, because I don't want what happened to me to happen to other people with this guy and this company. And clearly it was happening based on my now insurance agent, who
admitted that, we've heard this from other people. Okay, well, we did get lots of phone calls about this. People wanted to weigh in, so we've got two right in a row. Here's somebody with a suggestion for you.
Hey, Rob, what you need to do with that insurance thing is you call them and say, I need an itemized copy of the billing, and then then when that comes in, say, oh wait, I need an itemized. I need you to send me my contract or my insurance information, and just you could delay that for 3 months, man.
Yeah.
So I would do that, and then do the, because while you're in negotiation or trying to get paperwork, they can't send you the collections because you're trying to, as far as they know, pay the bill.
Yeah.
And then when you've exhausted those avenues of delay, then you go ahead and do your plan about challenging it, all that stuff. Have a good day.
Yeah. I like that.
So he's in favor of you dragging this out as long as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm going to get my value out of this.
Mhm.
I'm going to,
$12 is never costing them so much.
I would love to see a judge, and I think in Hendricks County where I live, most of the judges are very upstanding, nice people. Given the facts of this case and this company and this insurance agent say, oh, no, Mr. Kendall, you acted in the wrong here. And at least if we do, we will do way more than $12 worth of damage to the people who are the offenders here.
Okay, one more phone call about this issue.
Hey, pay the $12, then turn around and take them to small claims court for up to $6,000. They have to pay at least $1,500 for a lawyer to show up. You don't have to have a lawyer. You'll make money on that one.
Of course, you do have a lawyer.
I do. He works in this building.
He's saying turn that $12 into a windfall for you.
Yeah, I think Shabazz and Kendall Incorporated might have to have. I mean, we've had a little talk about what I should do with this, and Abdul's offered me some advice. But I think maybe we're going to have an actual formal meeting next week and get an actual strategy on this. Because right now I'm tempted to call the collections company, because they give you a phone number to call, and there's an electronic way you can submit your response. Lay this out to them and say, given this, and I'll electronically send the fact that the guy was arrested and the mug shot and everything else. What are you going to do? Send an attorney for $12?
They probably don't want to represent him either.
Well, this is my point.
Yeah.
So I think everybody's going to hopefully get out okay on this, but I think as George Costanza once said, Casey, you want to get nuts.
Let's get nuts.
Or as Steve Martin said in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and you know this by now, Casey, you're messing with the wrong guy.
Absolutely. Okay, another phone call from Trucker John. You remember Trucker John.
Rapper slash trucker John, yes.
He wrote a song called Serve Hoosiers Well.
Yes.
We've played it on these airwaves. He's got some shows coming up in Indianapolis. Now, don't let this pass you by. Of course, he wants to use, I think, his time with us to promote his show.
Oh.
So he called in and asked a question about the I Love Rob Kendall and I Hate Rob Kendall t-shirts, which are available right now at store.hammerandnigel.com.
Yes.
So here's Trucker John with his question.
Hey, Rob. Hey, Casey. John here, and I have a conundrum that I think maybe you guys might be able to help me with. Now, as y'all know, I said I've got that show November 18th down in Orleans, Indiana. But I've also managed to book a couple of shows in Indianapolis and Columbus, Indiana, in November. And I'm really considering for the Indianapolis show buying one of them T-shirts off of Hammer and Nigel's website. But I don't know which one to buy, because I kind of want to wear one for the show in Indianapolis. I think it would be fitting, to wear it on stage. I mean, I love the show, so should I go and I like Rob? Should I wear the I Love Rob shirt? Or should I ironically wear the I Hate Rob Kendall shirt? I mean, he did say I was a lunatic. I don't know. Maybe y'all can help me. What's your opinion? Majority vote. You, Casey, and Kevin all take a vote on it. And whichever one gets 2 out of 3, that's the shirt that I will order and I will wear on stage in Indianapolis. Let me know. Y'all have a good one.
Okay, so what do you think? Kevin's not here. We're going to get Kylan to weigh in on this.
Yeah.
He said we'll pick.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, I think we have to go to the Trucker John concert. Like, we will make it a station event. You, me, Kev, Kylan, I know you love live music. You're welcome. Anybody else from the air staff that would like to go and support Trucker John. I feel like that's maybe something we need to do just to find out what this guy is like in
on
person.
Stage,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Sure.
Kylan, ladies first. What do you think Trucker John should wear? The I Love Rob Kendall or I Hate Rob Kendall? Keep in mind, when you go to store.hammerandnigel.com and you buy an I Hate or I Love Rob Kendall shirt, I am making no money off of these. When my royalties or whatever they're called come in, every penny is going to Project Rescue, which helps fight human sex trafficking across across the globe, and it's actually being done through Life Church. So technically the money will go to Life Church. They track all of that, and then at the end of the year, they do mini fundraisers for Project Rescue. They give all of that money to Project Rescue. So that in mind, I hate Rob Kendall. I love Rob Kendall. Kylan, what say you?
He did have a good point where you said he was a lunatic.
I did,
so
yes.
Wearing the bright red, I hate Rob, makes sense, but I think the white t-shirt would be best on stage so you can catch the lights and look pretty cool with the mic standing up there.
Listen to her. She's thinking of the aesthetics of everything.
Absolutely. Well, she's an actress, yes.
Right. I'm going to disagree with you. I think the red is attention-getting.
It's popping.
And I think that he should go with the I Hate Rob Kendall t-shirt.
Yeah. Now, Debbie in the YouTube chat, by the way, you can watch us on YouTube, said, quote, he needs to get both, cut them up, and seat the two fronts together. So you could have...
a half and half.
Yeah, half and half. So when he turns
around... Kind of like
around...
the A.J. Hawk jersey.
Yes, I like that. And that means he'd have to buy two shirts that help Project Rescue. I like that.
Yeah. So what do you think?
Well, I feel like if he does the I Hate Rob Kendall, he might be more apt to get people to buy... or inquire about the shirts, which means they would buy more, which for me would help Project Rescue more. But you know me, Casey. It's all the same.
It's all the same.
It's fine. It's all going to charity for me anyway.
I've ordered my T-shirts. They haven't come in yet. I'm hoping maybe this weekend.
Yeah, well, I've marked them down as gifts for people, so very excited. And again, just a reminder, and Hammer's up next, if you have an angry red-shirted teacher in your life, this would be the perfect gift for them to wear to the State House for their next rally fighting accountability in public education.
Yeah.
If you have a member of the Indiana General Assembly, a loved one who's a Republican member of the General Assembly, perfect for them. And I love Rob Kendall's shirt. Might be perfect for your next school board meeting or local government meeting. I mean, there's just a variety of ways you can be fashionable and
support a good cause.
Support a good cause.
Okay. We've got Hammer who's going to weigh in next on 93 WIBC.
Oh, man, we got a fun Hammer and Nigel show this afternoon, 3 to 7, biggest stories in Indy, and it's Beer Sample Friday. There's a chance these pants are coming off. 93 WIBC.
It's game time at York Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Plainfield. Score big savings during Jeep Adventure Days and Ram Power Days. Get a new Jeep Compass. Lease it just $299 a month. A new Jeep Grand Cherokee. Lease it just $359 a month. A new Ram 1500. Lease it just $349 a month. Start your next drive at YorkCDJRofPlainfield.com.
We're not number one.
You are.
You're number one at York.
Real estate research reports housing prices are still slowly rising and inventory is still below historical averages. Now is a great time to get a big payday from your equity growth. Hire the agent who is an expert on maximizing your home price fast, Mark Dietl. Maybe you're worried about costly repairs or upgrades to sell your home. Mark Dietl guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline or he will buy it. Listen to what Ben Near Speedway had to say about working with Mark Dietl. After 48 hours, it was time to downsize and cash in on my equity. I heard about Mark on the radio and hired him, and he delivered as promised. Mark got me a cash offer with no appraisal before the home went on the market at the price I wanted. Call for all the details. Call the agent I trust and recommend, and the agent who guarantees your home sold or he'll buy it. Call Mark Dietl, 317-755-4232, or go online to markdietl.com. It's Mark, DIETEL.com. That's markdietl.com.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Tune in Saturdays 9 to 1 for the Home and Garden Show for advice and fun. Brought to you by Michaelis. Water, storms, fire, and wet basements. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it.
Tickets to Trans-Siberian Orchestra's The Ghost of Christmas Eve, The Best of TSO, and more at Gamebridge Fieldhouse on December 26th are on sale now. Purchase yours today and support local organization Sheltering Wings, whose mission is to provide emergency housing for survivors of domestic abuse. More info at WIBC.com.
1046, it's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. That's his theme song. Hammer's in the studio. It's Friday.
How have we gone from, hey, we're just going to play this song for this bit to it's become my theme song? Like when I'm Deion Sanders and I walk room to room, I don't hear the Fat Albert theme, Casey.
No, well, until you get down to that ideal weight, I think you got to stick with it.
Fine. I'll go full Coach Prime. Give me my theme music.
Mm-hmm. You're like, what's that soccer player's name? Michelle Rapinoe, who's walking in with her own walk-on. Megan Rapinoe,
If you
yeah.
ever compare me to Megan Rapinoe again.
I won't do it.
I know you're a woman, and I will never hit a woman, but I will pay my wife to beat your ass.
Okay. I don't want to see any of that.
It's good that Rob's engaged.
I know, he's totally
program.
zoned out
Just
on the
sitting there
Ryder
like
Cup.
A goon watching TV. This is like what the old shows on WIBC used to be like before we all got here.
Well, no, my thing is they in a startling move, they let people with 10 handicaps or worse, amateurs, play the morning round of the Ryder Cup for the Americans. They sent the pros out this afternoon, and they're doing, at least as of right now, much better. And so it's just weird they let total amateurs play against the European professionals this morning.
Now, again, we'll get to the weigh-in here in just a second, but you're the golf guru here.
Yeah.
Is the United States team bad because they're upset about that little split between the PGA and the LIV golfers? Like, do they give some of the LIV golfers the Heisman Trophy stiff arm because they didn't want them around?
I think it's a couple things. One, the fact that DeChambeau and Johnson were not picked for the team because they're on LIV. I think that hurt.
And they're worthy of being on the team.
Oh, yeah, and they were a big part of the last one. It's in Europe. America never plays well in Europe. And their captain, Zach Johnson, is a moron and put a guy, Burns, who, if you see this dude, at this point he's got like Hulk Hogan hair in back, but then when you see him with his hat off, it looks like he is going bald, so he almost has a skullet.
So he's like the real Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, he put like a dude with a skullet out in the opening group, and it was all downhill from there. I mean, I didn't like the pairings. I didn't like any of this, and I liked the pairings this afternoon much better, and they're playing much better. But man, that first, I got about 130 for this, Hammer. 130. Got my USA shirt on. I'm waving my American flag. And boy, those guys hit some shots that I looked at and said, I could have done better than that.
All right. So last week I was at 250.2. The quest is for me to lose 50 pounds. I've got a calendar year to do it. I get granted 3 timeouts. We started at 271. Okay, 271 flat.
Yep. You were literally as big as a baby elephant.
Yes. And that was on August 11th. Okay, so let's see where we're at now.
All right, here he goes. He's going to get up there on that scale.
Hammer waddling over. Scale is shaking.
Let's go!
Oh, wow.
Look at that.
Let's go!
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Look at that. 246 pounds, Rob.
Yeah, you are. That's right. Yeah, you are. You're halfway, aren't you?
We are halfway there. We are living on a prayer.
Boy, that's amazing. You are, yes, exactly halfway there. How about that for dramatics?
Mm-hmm.
Get ready, Bal. So from August 11th, where I was 271, to today, lean, mean, 246 pounds. We're making progress.
I can tell. I can see it on you, by the way.
I mean, I was sexy before, but now it's almost like you can't control yourself.
I mean,
you
look,
make it
look
awkward.
out.
Like my eyes are up here.
Yeah.
Before we get into the fact that apparently Joe Hogsett listens to our shows, which is wild, I guess, by his own admission.
Oh, he's not working.
Well, can we talk about how, again, this is the second time in 2 weeks, just blind officiating cost us money last night? I mean, this is just blatant. I mean, it's not even close.
So there was a clear delay of game that should have been called. And when I say clear, like 2+ seconds went off the clock before the ball was snapped when the clock was at 0. And that next play went all the way down the field and led for a touchdown. So it kind of cost us the over-under.
In that Lions-Packers game last night. And then the week before, it was the first down that on replay, the guy's clearly across the line. What are these people doing? What are they paying them for?
And I think what's great now is now that I've got you being a gambling degenerate, you see how bad officiating is. Because when you've got money on the line,
yeah, that's right.
Your tied into every single play, and you know how bad some of these calls are.
And look, I don't know how you do it, because mine's, $3, $2. I could get excited about 10 cents. It's just the thrill of winning. It's not even the money to me. But it's like, I don't know how people who bet actual money can do this. I mean, it's just like, how could you lose actual money
on calls that bad?
Just the guy stinks at his job. The guy stinks at his job at the Walmart. It doesn't affect you. The guy stinks at his job at the football game or the ref. You lose a bunch of money.
You got money on it. Yeah.
So speaking of picks, this afternoon at 4:45 again, I'll have a new article out where I will have 5 bets free. Anybody can make this weekend. 4 college games. I'll have a play on the Colts game. I'll give the Degenerate special on the air tonight. Last 2 weeks in college football, I've been 6-1-1. My esteemed colleague, Scott Long, is coming off a week where he was 4-0-1. And our professionals, Follow Never Fade and the Cashman Wins, they've been rolling too. So this is a fun thing. Scott and I are not professional handicappers, but I would put our overall records up against anybody.
And I love the Cash Man. We've had him on our show before. He's kind of like a cartoon character.
He's a big, hairy American winning machine.
Yeah, he's a neat guy.
And David is awesome, too.
Okay, so we read the thing earlier. It turns out Joe Hogsett admitting to Adam Wren in Portonville. Now, Adam and I are friends. I know you guys have issues.
Yeah. I just don't like reporters that out sexual assault history against the wishes of the victim.
But Adam has always been very nice to me. You know my rules. Just quote me accurately in your stories. And you have friends that I don't care for either.
Right.
So,
but Wren used to troll us all the time. And I've noticed that he stopped doing that now ever since we bring up the fact that he and Politico are scumbags for what they did to that woman in South Bend.
So in Portonville, which is his publication, Joe Hogsett responded to, I guess, a question about where he was, or his people responded on his behalf.
Now, in Portonville, this is the thing that Pencil Neck runs, right?
That is his publication. It's like Abdul's cheat sheet.
Okay.
And in there, he blamed, he essentially said, well, should we read it?
I've got it.
Okay, do you want to read it?
Yeah, he says, we would suggest that both the Shreve campaign and the city as a whole would benefit from Jefferson listening less to right-wing radio shock jocks.
Shock jocks.
And more to the concerns of regular families who are tired of Trump-style politics infiltrating local government.
Anytime they want to criticize Hammer and Nigel's show, or sometimes the station as a whole, they use the term shock jocks, which is like a 1985 dated reference. We're not Howard Stern, I promise you that. We're not Mancow in the morning when he used to do the Chicago show. We didn't make this stuff up. We didn't wake up one day and said, you know what would be fun? What would get people fired up? If we started a rumor that Joe Hogsett was in rehab during the riots. That's not what happened. People came to us. There is an investigative reporter in the city of Indianapolis who has said he's spoken with someone who was in rehab with Joe Hogsett. And the fact that there's no paper trail because Joe doesn't use his government email should be a red flag to anybody.
And I think the frustrating thing is we're doing more to talk about this than Shreve is. Yes, he's kind of ran that one ad, but now he's back on the gun control stuff in these mailers. And it's like, why are we the only ones talking about this? Don't you want to win?
The mailers tell me, look, I'm sorry I have to run this ad saying where was Joe, but this is what I'm really about. I mean, he's just such a weak ass, wishy-washy Republican. And if you think Governor Holcomb is weak, here comes Jefferson Shreve saying, hold my Zima, because this guy is from the same mold. And again, I'm just one guy. I'm one voter in Marion County. Yes, I have a platform, but I never tell anybody how to vote. I am not voting for any of these guys because neither one of them deserve it. I think they're the same guy.
All right. And look, credit to Adam. Apparently he asked the question, which is all we can say. And it gives us another opportunity to point out he will not tell you in the answer where he was. Now, apparently he's saying there's some commission report and to read it and blah. Now, you're going to have a guy on, Robert Evans, who has been on your show before, who has been trying for the better part of 2 years now, it seems like, to get via public information some sort of confirmation of where Joe Hogsett was during the riots, and he absolutely can't do it.
So what we're going to talk about this afternoon is Robert Evans, a concerned citizen, wanting to know where the leadership was when the city was being burned and looted out. He's filed all the paperwork. He's done the FOIAs. He's done all this. What we've learned already is that Joe Hogsett does not use his government email. so he uses his personal email. All right, fine. So if that's true, and what we're going to talk about this afternoon is if you buy that story, which, all right, shady people probably do use their personal email and not their business one. If he's using his personal email for the business of the city of Indianapolis, and there's no paper trail, there's no accountability, that's a problem. Are we supposed to just look at Joe Hogsett, Diamond Joe, Boss Hogsett, and go, we're just going to take your word that everything's just fine?
Yeah,
there's no accountability when you use your personal email, and we're going to get into the weeds of that this afternoon.
And I, look, it's such a simple question. Where were you? And how can you prove where you were?
Well, he told Wish TV's Alexis a couple years ago he was at home. He was at home watching it. Now, keep in mind, this guy loves a photo op. He would take a selfie at a funeral if he had a chance to do it. But he was nowhere to be found at all when the city needed leadership the absolute most. Are you kidding me? And that goes completely against what an investigative reporter has found.
Yeah, look, he still will not answer the question where he was during the riots, and simply calling us names, by the way, thank you for listening, Joe, is not going to answer where you were during the riots.
And Jefferson Sharif, why are we doing all this work and you're sitting there with that crap-eating grin on your face?
It's coming up this afternoon. Well, you already said.
Yeah, Robert Evans is going to come by. We'll talk about that. And it's Beer Sample Friday. Let's have a good time.
Congratulations on the weigh-in. Nice work. Thank you, Hammer. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Come on!
Are you putting your retirement savings in a 401k or IRA? Then I have one word of advice. Stop. You've been lied to by the Wall Street fat cats who get paid whether you win or lose. They say risk your life savings in the stock market, but studies show people who follow that advice will outlive their savings by a staggering 10 years. They say max out your contributions to 401ks, but the man who invented the 401k now says it's a monster that should be destroyed. They say defer paying your taxes to retire in a lower tax bracket, but retirees who fell for that lie are paying higher taxes than ever. Now get a free report exposing the wealth-killing lies you've been told and discover the proven retirement plan alternative Wall Street fat cats hope you never hear about. You can get guaranteed competitive growth every year and tax-free retirement income. Get your free report now at bankonyourself.com/save. That's bankonyourself.com/save. bankonyourself.com/save.
Do you need furnace or heat pump service and need to find a local well-trained expert you can trust like Family Heating and Air Conditioning? We'll find that American Standard air dealer at IndyHomeComfort.com.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake kitchen and bath cabinets. Visit Drexel's new design center on 146th Street at River Road or on North Shadeland. DrexelIN.com.
Coming up in 2 minutes, what the impacts may be for Hoosiers if the government shuts down. Plus, it's not coming to Indiana, but it is getting bigger, and why the gunfire in Bedford overnight. I'm Kurt Darling. That and more coming up from the Peterman Brothers Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical Studios after Fox News. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 11 o'clock.
This is a Fox News alert. The oldest U.S. senator has died. I'm Dave Anthony.
Senator Dianne Feinstein was one of the most amazing people who ever graced the Senate, who ever graced the country.
That tribute from Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. Feinstein from California was 90.
She was serving on the San Francisco City Council and became mayor when there was the assassination at the City Hall in San Francisco back in the mid-1970s that killed Harvey Milk, the first openly elected gay official in the United States, and also George Moscone, who was mayor. In fact, she found the body of Mayor Moscone, and then she became mayor and was elected to the United States Senate in 1992.
Fox's Chad Pergam at the Capitol, where Senator Feinstein, despite being in declining health, cast her final vote yesterday. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy just paid tribute to Senator Feinstein.
Her career was, by any standards, historic.
But with just 37 hours left before government funding runs out, McCarthy also touted what Republicans have done.
We have now in the House passed more than 70% of the discretionary spending on appropriation.
It takes 12 bills to fully fund the government, but that takes time. So there's a push to approve short-term funding to avert a shutdown while they keep working. But some House Republicans oppose doing that. Even if it passed, Senate Democrats oppose the spending cuts the House is considering. The 15-day-old auto workers strike is going to get bigger.
I'm calling on an additional 7,000 members across Ford and GM
to go on strike starting at noon Eastern today.
UAW President Shawn Fain says there are no new Stellantis walkouts, citing some progress in talks. Workers are already picketing at 41 auto facilities. A judge in Michigan just decided a teenage school shooter who's still a juvenile at 17 will be sentenced to life in prison, no chance of parole. Ethan Crumbley pleaded guilty to murdering 4 classmates at Oxford High School in 2021. His parents are charged with involuntary manslaughter, accused of providing the gun. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
How it may impact you. It's 66 and sunny downtown. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:02. Tens of thousands of Hoosiers will be hurt financially if the government shuts down.
And this could be a long shutdown. I'm Donnie Burgess. This is Arnold Scott, National Vice President for the American Federation of Government Employees.
When you go to the store and you buy food, you know, you got employees with the FDA that inspect that food to make sure that it's safe for you.
From the TSA to social services, Scott tells Wish TV this shutdown would take Hoosiers who are already living paycheck to paycheck and push them to their financial limits. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
The UAW strike is not extending to Big Three plants here in Indiana.
Sadly, despite our willingness to bargain, Ford and GM have refused to make meaningful progress at the table.
Union President Shawn Fain, who is from Kokomo, the union is extending the strike, though, to Ford and GM plants in Chicago and Lansing, Michigan. For now, Stellantis workers in Kokomo and GM workers in Fort Wayne will stay on the job as normal. A man shot and killed by police in Bedford overnight. It was late Thursday evening when a woman told the cops that she was being harassed by Damon Hubbard. Police tracked him down and he fled, and Hubbard eventually crashed his car into a cop car. It's there that state troopers say things escalated and the Bedford cops shot and killed him. Pennsylvania-based Wawa invests more than $400 million in the Hoosier state. President Brian Schaller says,
"We didn't see the market being served with what we think is a competitive offer. We think we can get customers on the site in 4 minutes and serve those immediate needs at a quality value."
Schaller tells Inside Indiana Business that Wawa will add 60 stores in the next 8 to 10 years in Indiana and bring more than 2,000 jobs with it. Anthony Richardson practiced fully for the second straight day on Thursday as the Indianapolis Colts prepare for the Los Angeles Rams. Richardson was in concussion protocol, and he has been that way since the Colts win over Houston. I'm Kurt Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-593-4411. 800-593-4411. 800-593-4411.
This hour on 93 WIBC, powered by Family Heating and Air, your American Standard air dealer in Indianapolis.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
It's an action-packed show today, Casey. Let's go!
And Casey Daniels.
The gang is all back together.
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Friday, September 29th. It's 5 minutes after 11. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Coming up, we're going to hear what happened in Brownsburg last night with Rob. And also, Susan Beckwith is going to join us for our Friday edition of Mind Your Manners. But first, let's get into what's been going on with Kevin McCarthy and Matt Gaetz. These two.
Oh, wow.
It's a big swinging you-know-what contest between these guys. Okay, so there's been a lot of tensions between the two. Apparently, they got into a big fight behind closed doors. It's just another sign of the deep divisions and infighting that is happening with the House GOP, and they're failing really to coalesce around a plan to avert a government shutdown.
But they're failing to coalesce because they're not, and they never were serious about doing the things that they claimed they wanted to do. The Republicans, and we're about to get into this in the next segment, the party as a collective from the top down, despite their platform saying they are, is not a party of low taxes or limited government. They believe, and they from time to time are proven correct, that you're a big enough sucker to, if they say it enough, that you'll believe it and keep voting for them. But the reality is, when it comes to spending, they are every bit as bad as the Democrats. It's just a different set of people that benefit. And so the whole plank of them running for re-election was, inflation is out of control. Curbing government spending will stop this. And what have they done the entire 9 months they've been in power, Casey? Spend money. Yes.
Spend.
And so Matt Gaetz is saying, wait a second. And many others, but Matt Gaetz has kind of become the face of this.
Yeah.
You, Kevin McCarthy, made this promise because you wanted to be Speaker of the House. Power was so important to you, and you knew you couldn't get it without promising spending controls and restraints. We are here now to say we are here to cash that check. We are demanding spending control and restraints. And because McCarthy doesn't want it and doesn't believe it, and Republicans for decades now have got away with lying to the American people, he just went, blank me, blank you.
Do you remember when they were trying to get the vote for Kevin McCarthy to become Speaker of the House and, 14th, 15th time, and there was that little sidebar meeting between Kevin McCarthy where he whispered something into Matt Gaetz's ear?
Oh, yeah.
Still curious about what he said to him.
You know what's wild is guys like Matt Gaetz fought so hard to get these guaranteed restraints, concessions in, and someone like Jim Banks just gave his vote away. 15 times, just gave the vote away. Didn't get any of these things. We're having these discussions right now, even though ultimately Republicans often aren't winning because the leadership are liars. But at least we're having these conversations because people like Matt Gaetz fought for that. And Jim Banks, who's supposed to be this big, tough guy, just gave his vote away. Oh, yeah, Kevin's great. He'll be fine.
Apparently, this exchange between the two that allegedly happened behind closed doors included an alleged F-bomb here and there.
Well,
and
we can't
people
have that.
were storming out. Yeah. But Kevin McCarthy says that they're gearing up for the chamber to vote today on a stopgap bill.
Of course.
But again, with this, he appears to lack enough votes to pass it. So what happens if there's a government shutdown? Okay, well, let's review this. This is kind of interesting. Will people still get their Medicare and veterans benefits? Yeah. Social Security still going to go out on time? Yep. Student loan payments still due? Yep. Food benefits still going to go out? Yep. Is the mail still going to be delivered? Yes. Will we still have commercial flights? Air traffic controllers, they're still going to be working? Yep. So what is it really affecting? Okay, some services at the national parks will be down, like restrooms in the visitor centers.
Yeah.
And flood insurance. You may have to wait to get funding for your flood insurance.
And I come back to, Casey, and the Republicans do this all the time. They run on something, they win. So seemingly, if you ran on something and won, how could you possibly be punished for doing the thing that you ran on? And yet Republicans get in office and they go, oh, well, everybody's going to be really mad at us if we shut the government down. People elected you to stop spending money. People elected you to get inflation under control. People elected you to rein in the out-of-control government. And you're there, and then you go, well, people might be mad at us if we do the thing we said we were going to do when we ran and won. I have never understood this, Casey.
That's what you're there for.
Having been there and had these conversations as an elected person, and people would all the time say, you didn't really mean that, did you? Yeah, hell yes, I meant it. That's why I said it. I won. In this case, they won.
So Gaetz is talking about what it would take to avoid the government shutdown. And he says it right here. This is very telling. It's very quick. You have to listen carefully. He says, we want to be able to say. That's it. They want to be able to say that they tried. Not that they did it, not that they accomplished anything, but they want the ability to say, we tried.
At most, if he decides to go along party lines and include conservative proposals in there. And then there's the warning that if he does cut a deal with Democrats, that could be enough to push him out of the speakership. A number of Republicans on the far right have made that very clear to me and have made that clear publicly that they will not accept that. So I had a chance to ask Speaker McCarthy this question just moments ago, whether or not he is not cutting a deal with Democrats because he's worried if he did that, it would push him out of the speakership. How much is the fact that if you do cut a deal with Democrats, there could be a vote to push you out? How much is that driving your decision-making right now?
Nothing drives my decision. If that was driving my decision, wouldn't that driven my decision-making 15 times before?
But you could have cut a deal with Democrats, and that could be the end of it.
Did I cut a deal then?
No, it could
did I cut a deal then?
When
I went 15 rounds?
No, I'm talking about right now.
But let me explain something to you. I'm no different than I was then or before. My whole focus, what's in my mind, what drives me, is the American people.
Okay.
I'm not worried if someone makes a
Sure.
Yeah, Casey, you know who he sounds like? He sounds exactly like Holcomb did yesterday when they asked him about, do you have any regrets during COVID?
No regrets. I sleep well at night.
It's the same thing. You're like, maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll do that. These people don't care at all about the issues they promised to solve. They don't care at all.
Okay, so if the government does shut down, it's going to happen at 12:01 on Sunday if Congress doesn't come to some sort of agreement.
This would be the perfect time to shut the government down, Casey, because there's no election going on. People are not going to. You can't even remember what happened 3 days ago. You think, what would that be? What are they, 14 months from now? People are going to be like, well, back in October of last year, the Republicans did what they promised us they were going to do, and they cut spending. F those guys. No, this is the perfect time to do it if you actually wanted to get spending under control, but they don't.
Pandemic outside. Do you remember the last time the government shut down? Do you remember when it happened?
Boy, I remember there was one in 2013. Was that it?
Nope.
Okay, there was one since then.
It was
Trump. Yes, Trump was president, and Trump caved.
It was for about a month in December of 2019.
That's right. Trump caved, and they were doing real good, and then he gave in. Yeah, that's right. I remember that. Yes.
Okay, so here's Matt Gaetz. This is from a few days ago, but it got lost in all of the debate shuffle, but I thought it was kind of funny. Somebody got creative, and I'm here for it, so I wanted to play it for you. He's introduced an amendment that will ensure no more money going to Ukraine, and it's a clip of him talking about how bad inflation is, and inflation is so bad, in fact, that senators are bribed with gold bars instead of money. Of course, this is a nod to the trouble that Bob Menendez is going through, but here it is.
We are devaluing American money so rapidly that in America today, you can't even bribe Democrat senators with cash alone. You need to bring gold bars to get the job done, just so that the bribes hold value.
I think it's kind of funny. All right, let's talk about this new poll that came out. It says 79% of Republicans in Iowa are considering candidates other than Trump.
What percentage?
79%.
Well, that's interesting.
Of Republicans.
Okay, so we've talked about this. People say, well, what is the path? How could Trump not win? Iowa is a different ball game. Now, does that mean we don't think Trump's going to win? No, Trump is still probably going to win. He probably, barring something unforeseen, but with Trump, who knows? He is the very likely Republican nominee for president. However, Iowa is a different ball game because they caucus, they don't vote like we do here in Indiana. And that means whoever someone's second choice is relevant, getting people to go in the middle of the night in the winter, it plays a part of it. The passion of your supporters, getting people to stay. It's an hours-long thing. So it is a different animal, which is why you see, who was the guy, used to be a senator from Pennsylvania, Rick Santorum. I always think of Rick Santelli, the guy who worked for the TV station. But Rick Santorum won Iowa in, what was that? Was that 2012 or 2008? One of those years. And it was like, how in the world did that happen? Because it is about the passion of your supporters, their ability to stay, and their ability to show up.
Okay, well, here's an Iowa voter who's ripping on Donald Trump for refusing to debate.
I think it's disrespectful that he didn't come to try to earn Iowans' votes, because so many people's votes are still up for grabs here in Iowa. And so not coming to try to earn that with the other candidates, I think, is a sign of disrespect. And I don't think he earned anyone's vote by not coming.
But would him being on that debate stage really have turned her opinion?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure how anybody's opinion could have been turned other than negatively about people on that debate stage on what night was that? Was that Wednesday night?
Yeah.
But it does underscore the need for them to get the debate stage in order because no one's getting anything out of 7 or 8 people just shouting over each other. So, look, Iowa, I think, is still wide open. Now, does that mean just because someone somehow magically wins Iowa, oh my gosh, they're the person and Trump's done? No, of course not. But if there was one state where you would say, hey, this state could upset everything and somebody you're not predicting could be the winner, I think Iowa is the place.
Did you see the news about Virginia's Governor Glenn Youngkin saying that he has not completely ruled out a run for president? He could be a shocking late entry into the presidential race. It's like some of the guys can't even get on the debate stage who want to be there, and now there's this guy who's saying, but wait, I might decide to run at the last minute. What does he have until October 15th? Is that it?
Of course he did, because, well, he hasn't even done one term yet, Casey. So, like, why wouldn't he think, even though he promised people he wanted to be governor, why wouldn't he absolutely just go ahead and run for president?
Well, he said people are desperately trying to draft him to take on Donald Trump. Glenn Youngkin, save us!
Like, nothing says I'm full of crap. Like, people desperately want me to do this.
They want me to do it. It's not me that wants to do it.
Yep.
Other people need me to do this for them.
All right, Casey. I had a wild and wacky event last night, and it is and
we're not talking about the 1:30 a.m. Ryder Cup watching.
No, coming back, it's going to be a teachable moment about bad government, and people were rather mean to me last night, and. When people get a little loose with the truth, we like to make those people famous. And if we can use their own words to do it, well, we do that. And we're going to make an example of someone when we come back.
It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Another news update is minutes away.
Republican presidential debate.
We want to reverse this country's decline.
Get the facts.
We're going to unleash American energy. Go picket in front of the White House.
Honestly, every time I hear you, I feel a little bit dumber.
Not just the talking points.
Has never seen a federal dollar she doesn't like.
When events happen.
Especially northern and central portions of the state that were in D1 moderate drought.
We'll happen to be there.
The United Auto Workers Union expand its strength.
On the level. On the go. 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy, like when looking at a door frame. For others, blurry or missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces. Many have trouble seeing in low light, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you've been diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA today. Learn more at GAWon'tWait.com. That's GAWon'tWait.com.
Rake in big savings at Koenig Equipment this fall. Buy a new John Deere compact tractor and get $1,000 off any in-stock Frontier attachment. Save on blades to level your driveway, rotary cutters to maintain fields, pallet forks to move materials, and much more. Turn to Koenig Equipment, your local John Deere authorities, for the tractor, attachments, parts, and service you need for any season. Stop by or visit KoenigEquipment.com today. Offer ends 10/31/23. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake Kitchen and Bath Cabinets. Visit Drexel's new design center on 146th Street at River Road or on North Shadeland. DrexelIN.com.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
It's 106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
21 minutes after 11, it's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Thank you, Kylan, for doing such a wonderful job of producing today in Kevin's absence. Rob Kendall, you were busy last night.
Oh, my gosh.
You must be tuckered out today.
I can't tell you what an honor it is to know the amount of people who just sit around obsessing about me. And it's so weird because I have no power over anyone. And we've talked about this many times, the obsession of this show and with both of us. And the obsession is that we exist. Because we exist and we don't like any of these people. And so we tell our audience the truth about whatever the topic is. And we work at a place where we have enough free reign by our bosses to talk about things that are interesting to us. And the reason we can talk about things like local government and get away with it is because we make it entertaining and apply it to the masses. So some guy in Greenwood is going to hear about something going on the west side of Indianapolis, and we're going to tell Greenwood guy why you need to wake up and pay attention, because if it's happening here, it's probably happening to you. And these people that are invested in certain things happening in the government for the betterment of themselves, well, they just hate that.
And isn't it interesting, the betterment of themselves, how it starts at this level and goes all the way to the top?
And this is what we talk about. The local governments are the training ground for the, what become the, professional politicians, right? They start there, city councils, town councils, school boards, and they work their way up. And so when we do this next segment here, pay attention. It's the community I live in, but I guarantee you something very similar is happening where you live, and this is why our country's going broke, and this is why your property taxes are out of control, and this is why you keep getting screwed. All right, are we ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go. Now, remember, a couple weeks ago, I said, I've been fighting this city of Atlantis they're planning on building in Brownsburg.
The Aquatic Center.
Yes, that's correct. They're very high IQ people are planning on building it next to the town sewage plant.
Yeah.
And in the process of that, I happened to be at the meeting, and they passed the first budget for the town. Now, this is an almost $80 million budget, Casey, which is a staggering amount of money for a town of 30,000 people. I mean, it's a colossally disgusting amount of money. And in it, the town manager said, well, we're going to raise the tax rate by roughly 5%. And of course, I did what I do, which is walked up there and said, well, that's really interesting because there's 5 Republicans up here, and I thought you guys are supposed to be the party of low taxes and limited government. And, boy, I can't wait to tell everybody, including the one guy who's up for re-election, about how you plan on raising everybody's taxes by 5%. And on top of that, you're giving town employees 8% raises, which seems a bit excessive in a disastrous economy.
Sure.
So one of the people who are really going to benefit off of this are the fire territory employees. And look, there are many, many fine people who probably work for the Brownsburg fire territory. Now, they have loathed me for a long time because, you know me, I'm for fiscal restraint and making sure we do things that make sense for the taxpayer. So me and the fire guys, we go way back, Casey. And so they became very angry that one member of the council, now conveniently, he just didn't make it to the meeting last night, had come out and said, oh, yeah, Rob's right. This is terrible. We're raising taxes. I'm going to vote against this. And so last night, Casey, I strolled myself into town hall there. And boy, I'll tell you what, I've never been to the firefighters convention in downtown Indianapolis, but I can't imagine there were any more firefighters at that convention than there were in that council room last night.
You had a lot of participants.
Boy, I'll tell you what, if you have ever seen the Blues Brothers and the end of the movie, The Blues Brothers, where they're doing the concert to keep the orphanage open and the cops know they're there and there's just like 1,000 cops at the concert. That was what it was like, except it was for firefighters instead of police officers.
Now, when you walked in, did you think, oh my gosh, this is amazing. We're getting all of these more people that are engaged in local government.
No, because I've been through this before with these people, and it's about them. And them means it costs you money. Now, does it mean firefighters don't deserve a raise? No, absolutely not. Does it mean police officers don't deserve a raise? No, absolutely not. 8% is disgusting in this economy because the private sector who is paying for those raises, you, me, Kylan, everybody else, we are not getting 8% raises because we live in reality, which is we have to produce. And it is harder than ever before for one profession after another to have to produce, except unless you're in the government because you take money by force. So The whole thing the past 2 weeks in town is Rob Kendall's lying about the tax increase. Even though the town manager said, here's the tax rate, it's going up 5%, here's the corresponding graph. Oh no, Rob doesn't know what he's talking about. Rob's a shock jock. Rob's doing this for ratings. Rob's misleading you, blah, 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 blah. So I'm looking around thinking, wow, all of these people came to this meeting tonight. This is super exciting. Well, heck, gosh darn it, Casey. None of these people were at the last meeting. And I go to the meetings every 2 weeks and there's usually like 10 people here. So I was arrogant enough, Casey, and this is a total indictment of me, to think these people might be here because of me. And
turns out they were.
The very first speaker, Casey, wouldn't you know who won the pony? The very first speaker in the citizens' comments, we'll call him Union Boss Guy. He's some high-ranking guy in the fire union. And the majority of his comments, Casey, well, they were about me, and he accused me of some really mean-spirited things. Would you like to hear what he accused me of?
Yes.
Okay, let's take a listen.
Now, I've heard all about this massive tax increase that is paying for these raises in this budget, but I don't believe that to actually be the case. And I know the town is planning on giving a presentation on how this actually happens, so I'll leave that up to Mr. Jackson. He is the financial professional. But some of the misunderstanding may just be, not understanding the system. And I get it. I'm not a tax lawyer. I don't understand everything about the tax system. But some of it I also believe may be someone intentionally misleading information, and that person knows better. And I believe he's here just to put on a show tonight. I will ask you all to decide after listening to the presentation tonight.
At that point is where I did my Kent Dorfman from Animal House. Hello.
Okay, so the intentionally misleading information that somebody he was talking about.
Oh, yes, of course. And everybody is, of course, then, looking at me and they know who they're talking about. I love that.
Did you feel the eyeballs on
Oh,
you?
yeah. And after all these years, Casey, people think they're going to badmouth me into some sort of shame, or they're going to intimidate me. I've been rodeoing with these people for 11 years now, Casey. They should know better. But hey, if you're going to make yourself look terrible, well, I'm going to walk right through that door. Keep in mind, Casey, I'm not in the government. I don't vote on anything. I don't have any power. I'm just a taxpayer in the town concerned about my property taxes.
Yep.
And these people are making it all about me.
You're the villain in this situation.
So now, what words did he use again about
intentionally
me?
misleading information.
That's correct.
You ought to know better.
I ought to know better.
Also said.
He's right. I should know better, Casey, because I don't know if you know this, but I at the time wrote the largest, or helped pass the largest municipal property tax rate reduction in state history.
Still stands.
I believe so. No one has proven me otherwise. And then we did reduce the tax rate for 4 straight years. That's never happened before, again, as far as I'm aware, in the town. Maybe somebody can, certainly not on the level we did. And so I do know a thing about the government. I do know a thing about taxes. I do know a thing about the community in which I live. And it's so insulting that this guy, who, by the way, admitted he doesn't live in Brownsburg, which is the best part of it all, the guy who doesn't live in Brownsburg is going to stand up on a stage in front of the entire community, because it's available on the public internet airwaves, and accuse me, because everybody knows he's talking about, of being deceptive or misleading or whatever it is. No, buddy. I'm here because I live here. I help pay the salaries of the people that you don't have to help pay for because you don't live in this town. And there is nothing worse than having somebody who doesn't live there tell me what I got to do with my money. So, remember, I'm deceptive, I'm misleading.
Yep.
The town is totally going to clarify this later, right?
Yeah.
They're going to show how he doesn't say my name.
You're a shock jock. You're exaggerating. Yeah. This isn't the way it is.
Yeah. So the guy from the town gets up, the budget guy, very respected guy, worked in the state auditor's office for years. I actually worked with him when he was there. Above reproach in terms of his respectability. And now they're talking about the levy, which is a little different than the budget, but they're all tied in together. And it's what they're doing here tonight, right? Okay. So remember, I'm deceptive, misleading, whatever the words were that were used.
You ought to know better.
I ought to know better.
And clearly you're exaggerating, and you're probably wrong.
So the budget guy would surely confirm what Union Boss Guy said, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Let's do it.
And I've estimated that this adds 0.0226 to the tax rate per every $100 of assessed valuation. So that equates, on estimation, to $56 to $57 to the annual tax bill for a $250K house.
Oh, did you hear that, Casey?
That's why your property taxes are going up almost $60.
If you live in a $250,000 house, which
if it's more,
that's
it's
nothing
be even
these
higher.
days. That's about the house I live in, and that's nothing, Casey.
Mm-hmm.
So for many people, it's $100, $120, which whether it's $1 or $120 or $150, your taxes are going up. I was right.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think I got an apology afterwards? You think union boss guy came over and said, well, you know what, Rob, you're right. We just believe the taxes should be able to go up. No, in fact, you know what happened, Casey?
No.
The esteemed town manager essentially alluded to the fact that, well, the taxes went down last year and they're kind of like you're basically saying your taxes are too low. So we got to raise them back up because they went down last year.
So he wants to be like a wash, a push, make it even.
Here's the deal, Casey, and this is happening in local governments all across this state. These people are not your friends. And look, there are probably many fine people who are the day-to-day Brownsburg firefighters, and they work very hard. But this is another example, just like with the UAW, where the union leadership is getting up there, and that is a disgusting display to point out a guy who lives in the town, who has an opinion, which is factually supported by the town's own budget guy. And instead of addressing and talking about the council who has the actual power, you want to pick a fight with a guy sitting in the back row. Why? Because he's got a radio show, he's got a social media following, and he's got the audacity to correctly tell the people what's going on. Now, of course, Casey, they passed the tax increase because they don't care, because the Republicans are the party of big government and big spending. And I knew they were going to do that anyway. But I wanted to just put this out there for people to show if you speak up, it's not about you being right or wrong. They don't hate you because you're right or wrong. They hate you because you exist. This is what we talked about with the Defenders of Liberty the other night. The Republican Party and these special interest people inside the government, they hate your very existence, and they hate us because we have the platform to fight back and make these people famous.
It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
If your leaky chimney is at it again, there's only one place to call. That's Chimney Solutions. Chimney Solutions has over 20 years of experience inspecting, sweeping, and troubleshooting chimney systems. From repairing your masonry to waterproofing to chimney caps, they handle it all with craftsmanship guarantees. The Chimney Solutions team is Chimney Safety Institute of America certified and members of the National Chimney Sweep Guild. Call Chimney Solutions today at 317-757-6979. Online at chimneyindy.com. That's Chimney Solutions.
Hi, I'm Joe Wrights, former Colts offensive lineman.
And I'm Jill Wrights. Traumatic brain injury is so sad and so life-changing.
That's why we support a groundbreaking organization building a better future for adults living with a TBI.
Vilici was founded right here in Indiana, but what we are doing will affect families around the country. Families struggling to support and lift up their loved one after a life-changing head injury.
Go to braininjury.me. That's braininjury.me.
Big news from my friends at AAA. AAA's newest approved service partner, Jiffy Lube of Indiana, offers AAA members $25 off a Jiffy Lube signature service oil change every Thursday on AAA Day. Just show your AAA card and save.
And don't forget AAA's legendary roadside service. Flat tire, dead battery, run out of gas, lock your keys in the car. AAA is there 24/7, 365. To get your AAA membership, visit AAA.com or call 844-GO AAA-GO or stop by any local AAA office.
I can't begin to tell you the amazing impact Life Church has had on my life over the past year and my family's life. And let's face it, it's actually God having the impact. But Life Church is a great place for it to happen. They are warm. They are welcoming. They would love the opportunity this Sunday to meet and welcome you and your family. And Life Church's campus is all across central Indiana, including Noblesville, Fishers, Eagle Creek, and Pendleton. In addition to awesome online services, learn more about all of it at lifechurchin.com.
We have the best technicians in the business here at Family. They'll take care of you every time. 317-577-8077.
Family Heating and Air, your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Remembering a senator. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:30. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer speaking on the Senate floor last hour, remembering Senator Dianne Feinstein.
Dianne's work extended far beyond the United States Senate floor, as she gave a voice, a platform, and a leader to women throughout the country for decades.
Feinstein died early this morning. She was 90 years old. She was first elected to the Senate back in 1992. Still no progress.
That's why I'm calling on an additional 7,000 members across Ford and GM to go on strike starting at noon Eastern today.
UAW President Shawn Fain, who says they're extending their strike to Ford and GM plants in Chicago and Lansing. He says there has been some progress with Stellantis. The strike is not extending to plants in Indiana. I'm Kurt Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
It is 11:36 with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. There's a new poll out that says more Republicans see Donald Trump as a person of faith rather than Mike Pence or even Mitt Romney. I got to tell you, this probably really hurts Mike Pence's feelings. It has to, because this is a guy who leans on his religion, talks about it often, and uses it out on the campaign trail.
He does, but... Okay, so I think I'm somewhat qualified to talk about this. It's been many, many years since I've had a single solitary conversation with Mike Pence, and I in no way mean to say like we used to hang out at the Bellagio together or anything like that. But I did get to know him a little bit. Now, he was I think a markedly different person then than he is now, although I think a lot of the tenets were there. I think Mike Pence is a firm believer in his faith.
Mm-hmm.
I don't doubt his belief in Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior. I don't doubt his dedication to that faith. I don't doubt his dedication to living a life that morally, in the sense of like faithfulness to his wife, etc., is above reproach. However, I saw another side of Mike Pence in the government in which I worked, and there's no way he didn't know these things were going on, that was very deceptive, that was designed to protect himself above the taxpayers. And so just because someone, he doesn't drink, he lives above reproach life of not being ever alone with a woman or anything like that. Mm-hmm. It all factors into the equation. And in terms of the government, Mike Pence has been a shifty, deceptive person, and he does not like to ever be called out on areas in which many people believe he is incorrect.
Well, he probably does not like this poll. It was conducted by Harris X for Deseret News. They asked voters which politicians they considered to be people of faith. Donald Trump got the top spot with 53%. Now, Mike Pence did come in second place, but I think that's kind of interesting because if you think about it, Donald Trump, who's been divorced twice, he's in the middle of this lawsuit for paying alleged hush money to an adult star. He's been accused of having inappropriate relations outside of the marital bedroom. I mean, but yet still more people consider Trump a person of faith over Mike Pence, who is very vocal evangelical Christian.
Sure, but I've told this story before, and we'll tell it again. The final thing for me on who Mike Pence was, well, I shouldn't say final because I found it out more and more and more as I went along. But I guess, I'm sorry, let me say this. The eye-opening thing on exactly who Mike Pence was, and I've told this story. I worked for 3 state auditors in 9 months. And the first state auditor was appointed by Mike Pence, and Mike Pence made that choice without doing proper vetting on his end or what the party deemed on their end. And the reasons don't matter, but the reality is he decided he didn't want that person anymore. Mm-hmm. And instead of owning it and saying, I made a mistake, you are not the person or do not have the skills I thought you did, I screwed up, the state party screwed up, he strong-armed that guy, intimidated that guy who had no business being there to begin with. He strong-armed him, intimidated him into resigning. I was there when it happened. I was across the hall. And what did Mike Pence do when that guy announced his resignation? Instead of coming out and going, you know what, I made a mistake. I messed up. I appointed somebody for a reason, and it blew up in my face, and I was letting the people of the state down, and so I asked him to resign. This rests on me. You know what he did? He went out the next day to a gaggle full of reporters and said, I have no idea why he resigned. You need to ask. He says it's personal, and I'll leave it at that. That's when I knew a whole bunch of the Mike Pence stuff is a big, fat, phony charade. And we talked about this. I've been keeping this stuff with me for a very long time, Casey. And I'm glad Mike's running so we can talk about these are my experiences. Now, there's a lot of people who may have had wonderful experiences with Mike Pence. But you know what those experiences probably were? Not him being challenged. You saw the look on the face of Mike Pence when he was challenged by Tucker Carlson, when there were boos in that audience. How dare you challenge me, Casey? How dare you push back against me? I'm the anointed one. I'm the guy that's been in the Congress. I'm the guy that's been the governor. I'm the guy that's been vice president. A total disconnect on how people could look at his stance on Ukraine and the arrogance and conceit with which he told you who Mike Pence was that day.
So coming in third in this poll was Mitt Romney, who is a Mormon. And for the Democrat side, Joe Biden ranked as the top spot. 63% of voters say he is a person of faith. But speaking of Mike Pence, he was trying out a new routine on the debate stage this week. And here's a little montage of his best jokes.
Joe Biden doesn't belong on a picket line. He belongs on the unemployment line. I'm glad Vivek pulled out of his business deal in 2018 in China. That must have been about the time you decided to start voting in presidential elections. I served in Congress for 12 years, although it seemed longer. Chris, you mentioned the president's situation. My wife isn't a member of the teachers union, but I got to admit I've been sleeping with a teacher for 38 years. And full disclosure.
I'm sure that's not the one thing that he's going to want to be remembered for.
Isn't Wacky Pence just the best, Casey? Isn't Wild and Wacky Pence just your favorite?
So much fun. 11:42. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Let's talk about these AI pics that show Marilyn Monroe, what she would look like in her 80s. Also, Elvis Presley and Princess Diana is another one.
I think, and I've said this before, people like Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, et al., the thing about them, while it's terrible they died young, they remain forever young.
Exactly.
You always picture Marilyn Monroe as this thing. You always picture Jimi Hendrix as the guy lighting the guitar, on fire on stage. And that has endured them throughout time. You never saw them get old. They were always that thing. This was so shocking to see Marilyn Monroe in her 80s or 90s. I think she would be 98 now. Whatever she would have supposed. Now, it's a guess, of course. You don't know. Would she have gained weight, lost weight? You don't know. But to see it, it's like, oh, my gosh, yikes.
Yeah, so AI, this is what AI thinks that these people would look like today. And as you mentioned, you never know. They could gain weight. They could lose weight. Had they been sick at any point in their life, as we have seen with John Fetterman. That definitely changes your appearance and how you would look as you age. But yeah, it is interesting to see because in your mind's eye, Marilyn Monroe is forever young and smiling and beautiful. And this picture, they've got her face sagging and she looks, well, she's not smiling and happy. She looks a little bit more serious in the pictures.
Well, wouldn't you at 98, Casey? Wouldn't you be serious about life at 98? Serious.
No, I'd be smiling that I made it that long. Hey, before we turn it over to Susan Beckwith with our Mind Your Manners segment for this week, we're going to talk about etiquette with things to tell your son. Did you hear about this George Washington letter? It was written in 1977. He says, God in heaven.
You mean 1777.
1777. You're correct.
I'm calling fraud here, Casey.
No, you're right. 1777. The letter, he says, God in heaven back American independence, and it is now for sale for the first time, being valued at $275,000.
Well, your man loves collectibles. He should get in on that.
I would definitely think that American history would seem more intrinsic and valuable than, say, sports memorabilia.
Jim, this is a great investment piece.
You know who would love this is Ethan Hatcher.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't think Ethan Hatcher has $275,000 in his back pocket.
But you do, and you could totally gift that to Ethan this Christmas.
I do not. All right, Susan Beckwith is next on 93 WIBC.
Hey, Tamer and Nigel with more about Window Nation and more from Window Nation. When it comes to new windows, Window Nation always gives you more, but now they're giving you even More. The more windows you buy, the more you save, up to 50% off. It's another amazing deal on windows that deliver more for your home. More energy savings, more value, more features, more options, more beauty. And now, if you want more, you get more. Just call Window Nation at 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com.
Buy 5 to 10 windows and get 30% off. Buy 11 to 15 windows, get 40% off. And if you buy more than 15 windows or a house of windows, you will get 50% off. More than that, whatever size your order is, no money down, no payments, no interest for 2 years. So you got to call Window Nation right now. 866-90-NATION, 866-90-NATION, or go to windownation.com. Window Nation never leaves you wanting more. Window Nation, the perfect fit.
Are you tired of paying these insane rates on your credit cards and other loans? You can cut those payments by hundreds of dollars a month by using the equity in your home. What's up? It's Hammer here from the Hammer and Nigel Show. Loan Pronto is here, and they can help you tap that equity and get tens of thousands of dollars in less than a week. Their Equity Express line of credit can get you enough money to pay off all those ridiculous high-interest credit cards or maybe that car loan. You won't lose your 3% mortgage rate. It stays intact. You can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying ridiculous interest rates on those credit cards and get tens or even hundreds of thousands in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto today. 317-953-6525. 953-6525. 953-6525. LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Tune in Saturdays 9 to 1 for the Home and Garden Show for advice and fun. Brought to you by Michaelis. Water, storms, fire, and wet basements. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it.
Head to the contest page at WIBC.com and enter for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Trans-Siberian Orchestra on December 26th at Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Go to WIBC.com for more info.
It was late one Friday. He pulled in out of the dark. He was tall and handsome.
93 WIBC. It is the Kendall and Casey Show. And Rob, you know it's Friday, and you know what that means.
Yes, it is time to take our audience into the weekend and help them become more decent members of society. And boy, do we know you people need some help. And so normally we'd say we have a guy.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, we have a girl.
We have a woman.
That's thank you, Casey.
Yes,
thank you.
Beautiful woman at that. Inside and out.
I appreciate that passive-aggressive response right there. Yes, she's a former Miss Indiana. She has a very fabulous etiquette blog, Belle of the Midwest. Susan Beckwith is her name. Susan joins us on the WIBC hotline. Susan, what in the world are we learning about today?
Well, yesterday was National Sons Day.
Is that a thing? Is that made up? That just sounds like a Hallmark thing. Is that a real thing?
I knew you were going to say that, Rob, and I understand that sentiment. I really do. There was National Daughters Day, but I will say, for those that are kind of not a fan, as somebody that just recently lost a loved one, I feel like any opportunity, even if it's cheesy or made up, it's a great chance just to celebrate the ones around us. So, yes, I acknowledged it and ended up writing a blog piece about 10 etiquette tips that are really good to share with your son.
All right, right out of the gate, the floor is yours. Number 1, go.
All right. Well, we won't have time to cover all of these, so we're going to hit some key ones. And this one we've talked about before, but it's so critical, and that is really prioritizing your body language. So Jordan Peterson even said it in his great book about 12 Rules for Life. Stand up straight with your shoulders back. So we've talked about posture before, but even more so than that, really instilling good eye contact and a firm handshake, when you're training up your little guy is so important.
Raising strong men, crucial in the well-being of society, and so we want them to present themselves well. That's what you're saying.
Yes, absolutely. And that's such an easy thing to do. Those seem so basic, but they can really, how do you guys feel when you shake somebody's hand and it's like limp?
Ew.
Well, look, here's my question. Is this like the same sort of posture we're talking about with the soup that we talked about last week? Is this the same sort of thing?
No, just stand up, keep your shoulders. When you're all hunched over and, it does communicate a message. So if you are, have your shoulders back, you're standing up straight, it just portrays confidence.
Yeah, confidence. Okay, what else do we have?
All right. So, again, basic ones, but these are really good to start at a very early age, that please and thank you. Being sure that you are encouraging them to express gratitude, even for the simplest of gestures. So that's an easy one that we really worked hard on with our kiddos, and I feel like they do a pretty good job.
Susan, back with our guest. It's our Mind Your Manners segment. We end each Friday with the very fabulous former Miss Indiana. This week, the etiquette, the lessons to get you into the weekend and really through life in general is about lessons for your son because, well, Susan has fallen victim to the fake, phony Hallmark holiday that is National Sons Day. All right, Susan, what's next?
Okay, we touched on this a couple weeks ago, but really hat etiquette, so many of the rules apply specifically to men. And so making sure that your son knows what that etiquette is as far as when to remove it, simply as far as being indoors while praying, during introductions, especially during the national anthem and when we see the flag pass by in a parade. Those are all good things to make sure that they know from the get-go.
Sometimes with little guys, it's hard for them to keep the hat on. And you're saying teach them as well when it's proper to take it off.
Yes. But, both. But I feel like my son, he loves to wear a hat. I think because he sees Micah wear one so often. And so, yes, but, just making sure that they know what's respectful when it comes to wearing your hat.
Susan, I want to tell you the profound impact you're having on my life. I went to the Brownsburg Town Council meeting last night to discuss the massive tax increase that they're in the process of passing. As usual, I was ignored in the order in which I was received, and that's neither here nor there, but I did not wear my hat last night because of our conversation, and I am having far more respect for my government than they have for me, but I wanted to let you know I did not wear my hat last night because you told me that was the wrong thing to do because it's indoors.
That makes me so happy. I am so glad that you are learning some things from all of these great little review sessions.
Yes, and based on the way they behaved last night, I should have worn a hat that told them they were number one. All right, what else on the list of things to teach our sons, plural? Go ahead, Susan.
Okay, now this next one is kind of contingent on how old your son is. I still have pretty young. My son is 6, so as far as a safety concern, I feel like Micah would just try to model this one, but that it's actually proper for the gentleman to walk on the outside closest to the road to really protect ladies. So if you have a really young little guy, just modeling it would be good. But as he gets older, that's pointing out that gesture is demonstrates, just consideration and protection and all those gentlemanly things.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. I have done that multiple times. My wife likes to walk on the inside when we are going for walks, and she will look at me like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm protecting you.
That's right.
And she looks at me so weird. So thank you, Susan. She loves you, so maybe she'll listen to you that I'm doing something that I'm supposed to be doing.
You didn't even know you were experiencing proper etiquette.
I knew that I was supposed to be protecting my wife and my baby, though, and she looked at me like, I want to walk here. Doesn't matter what you want to do, woman. I'm the man. I'm in charge of this household.
All right, Susan, one last one.
Okay, yes. All right. So this one I feel like is for the little guys and the big guys, but just again, I still see it. I feel like we even struggle with it sometimes, but making sure that screens are powered off when you're at the table, during meetings, during class, and really when you're having a conversation with others, because when you don't, it really does show a lack of respect.
Okay, before we let you go, tell us about your very fabulous Belle of the Midwest website and Facebook page.
Well, it was so timely that National Sons Day did happen and this blog post came about because I heard from a listener which truly made my day, and it was a father basically saying how much he really wanted to make sure that they were doing everything they could to model good manners to their son. Was there anything that they could be doing further? So I love to hear from you. So I had somebody else reach out with a fashion question last week, so I absolutely love it. So please reach out if you have any question of the sort, social etiquette, fashion related. You can check out my blog for lots of good topics. It really spans the gamut. And, of course, I'd love to join you. So if you ever have an event coming up where you need a guest speaker to talk social etiquette, I'm your gal.
Susan Beckwith, BelleoftheMidwest.com. Thank you. You're the best.
Have a great weekend.
Yeah, you too. And thank you for listening today. It's time for us to go. Thanks, Rob. Thank you, Kylan. And we will catch you back here on Monday. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Into savings this week at Family Dollar by using Smart Coupons. And don't forget to click for great deals like these. Save $1 on Swiffer refills or Mr. Clean Magic Eraser Pads. Or keep your clothes looking fresh with Gain Laundry products and make cleanup a breeze with Bounty paper towels and save $2. Finally, stay on budget and save $5 when you spend $20 on Dixie, Sparkle, Angel Soft, or Brawny products. Enjoy the savings this week with Smart Coupons. Family Dollar, helping you do more.
Hey, Nigel here. My sidewalk and front porch were falling apart and needed completely replaced. I was just going to go with basic, regular, generic concrete that looked the same as before, but my wife, thankfully, was like, And she showed me the Indie Decorative Concrete website, and I was completely blown away at what they could do in terms of taking a basic sidewalk and porch and turning it into a custom stamped concrete area with more space and an absolutely awesome, unique look. Indie Decorative Concrete is locally owned. They don't use subcontractors. Check them out at indiedecorativeconcrete.com.
The reviews are in from McDonald's hotter, juicier burgers. Let's hear what Hamburglar has to say.
Bravo, bravo.
What our old friend Hamburglar said is, the patties are juicier. The bun is a thing of beauty. The cheese perfectly melted.
Bravo.
My burger dreams have come true. You heard him, folks. These are McDonald's best burgers ever. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Bravo.
Available at most restaurants in this area. Comparison of McDonald's classic burgers to prior burgers.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day.